Minute.
It's so fast.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sunday, the exciting day of finals here at the 2018 Club Nationals Championships. I'm here with Kyle Peabody, and we are very, very excited to commentate and announce some exciting racing today, and again, all finals. So we kick the morning off at 8 a.m. with the women's intermediate quad. And you can see the Orion quad right now just starting to come off of the line for the 8 a.m. race. And there they go, Kyle.
And they're off. All right, in this race here, from your left to your right, across the screen, we'll have the Gordon Composite, Vesper, Orion, Orion B, Newport Seabase, and the under-18 girls high performance team. And just a little bit of steering in this Orion boat. Hopefully they can correct before it gets really exciting.
Okay,
first race is on the water.
And it looks like they're starting to course correct now. So again, as we were saying yesterday, for those a little less familiar with the technical aspects of the boat, these boats without a coxswain are steered by the bow person. So right now that is Ashley Johnson if we're looking at lane 3. If the camera's on lane 4, it's Rosemary Kine of the Orion boat. So steering that, and she's done a nice job getting back in the center of the lane. And away they go.
Yeah, Colleen, beautiful conditions out here this morning. Just almost perfect water. Just a light puff of a tail. Perfectly flat, cloudy, cool. Great racing conditions out here this morning on the Cooper River.
Absolutely. So we'll get a drone shot in probably just about a minute. But for now, we can see the camera should be down lane 4. Again, that's the Orion B boat. 2 Orion quads in this event. And coming into the screen now, on the left side of the screen, we can see the Vesper quad. So now we're starting to pan out and get a really beautiful shot of the field here for the women's intermediate quad final. So this is a race for medals. Very, very exciting.
Looks like a little bit of steering difficulty just across the board. A lot of crews just tending a little bit towards the buoys. So hopefully they can all correct quickly and get right back into the middle of the race. Looks like they're coming up on about 750 meters down now, and we'll pick them up from the sky as soon as we have them. All right, we switch overhead here, and it looks like lane 4, that's your Orion boat. Lane 3, 4, towards the middle there, they're starting to push away just a little bit, but a pretty tight pack. Again, this is a final, so we're racing for the medals. All the cards are down. You got to get your boat as fast as you can go.
So we'll get a sense of margins as the drone gets a little bit closer to this race. But yeah, absolutely. Unlike some of the semifinals and the heats and those qualifying races, the real strategy here now is just to get out in front and win. So it looks like those 2 Orion boats are really making the best of it right now. At second half of the course, probably just a little bit past 1,000.
What a great view here, the course and the boathouse and downtown Philadelphia in the background. Just a beautiful day here in New Jersey. But wow, look at these 2 Orion boats really getting after it up in the front of the pack here. A lot of bragging rights, I'm sure, on the line here up in Saratoga.
And these crews are pretty close, Kyle, these 2 Orion shells. So this is an exciting race. And as you rightly say, out of Saratoga Springs, New York, under head coach Eric Catalano. So these women are absolutely used to racing each other in practice, and it's showing right now because there's a lot of feisty and gutsy racing right now happening as they approach just probably about 700 or so meters to go.
Yeah, we'll see what can happen in these last few minutes of the race. Looks like they're basically neck and neck here, stroke for stroke. A lot of exciting racing. You're not going to want to miss this down at the shore.
And it's looking like the margin right now is probably about a deck.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not even in some strokes. It looks like they've really also separated way out from the field. Really impressive how they just keep pushing each other. And they've kind of dropped the rest of the pack. But we'll see who can really wind it up in these last 500 here and take that gold medal.
And so
it looks like the Orion A boat has just started to sneak away by maybe about a deck. They've put in a little bit of a move. We'll see if the B squad in lane 4 can respond. But as it stands, it looks like Orion A has just started to walk away, maybe about a half a length as we come into the last 400 meters here.
yeah, definitely a bit of a push from the Orion A boat, I would say, at about 550, maybe even 600, as you say, to take that half a length. So we saw the margin of about a deck. It's now about a half a length, and absolutely thrilling as we come into the final stretch, final 300, 400 meters or so. It's a race for medals, and it is absolutely bragging rights as well between these teammates from the Orion program.
And it looks like they've continued to move out, not as quickly as the initial surge, but they're still continuing to move out against their teammates, maybe almost a length at this point. Multiple lengths of open water on the rest of the field, but a great race overall. It's going to be Orion 1-2, but a great race for bronze medal behind them. We've got lane 1 Gordon, lane 2 Vesper, and lane 6 the under-18 girls high performance team. They're trying to sneak in on the outside. They've brought the rate up. As we come into the last 20, it's Orion. Looks like that lead Orion boat has broken open water. And as they come up to the line, they will win this final.
And still overlap with the Orion B boat, but it is the Orion A, in fact, now just breaking into open water to claim that gold medal for the women's intermediate quad. It's the Orion A, followed by the Orion B.
And right behind them, we've got the under-18 team. They want that bronze, but here comes Vesper. Are they going to have enough time? It doesn't look like it. It's going to be the under-18 girls high performance team. They're going to take the bronze medal. All right, so Orion, and the under-18 girls high performance team. All right, what a great race to start off the day there in this women's intermediate quad final. Next up, we got hot centers this morning, 8-minute centers, so it'll be quick racing all day. We have the men's intermediate double final. On your screen, left to right, we'll have Undine Boat Club, Vesper, Penn AC, Oklahoma High Performance Center, Undine, and an unaffiliated crew.
And back up at the start, we are awaiting the start of the 8:08 a.m. race, which will take off, I think, any moment. It's the men's intermediate double final. Race for medals.
Here we're looking at lane 4, the Oklahoma City group. Oklahoma City, of course, home to a National High Performance Center down in the Boathouse District. A lot of generous support down there and a great place to row and train. And they're off. All right, a nice aggressive start out of this OKC group, and as we pan out, we'll see the rest of the field.
And the camera's still on the OKC shell. That is Hilton Park and Will Stanhope. So as we mentioned yesterday, a lot of these athletes really doubling up, tripling up, racing, as many as 4, 5, 6 times. So Will Stanhope we've seen in other events. Great to see him in this men's intermediate double final.
Will Stanhope, too, I believe, was the one who he's our brave soldier, took out that goose yesterday.
The geese,
So
yeah. I was
we,
like, how
we,
do I know
we
that
all
name?
owe him a debt of gratitude for taking
Yeah.
care of that. Looks like just a little trail to the one side of the lane. On your right here, you can see the Undine crew of Mr. Stewart and Mr. Mulgrave thundering away down the course. Looks like a great start, though, from OKC. As we pick up the drone, we'll get a better look at it.
And as we said yesterday, a lot of thanks to all of the volunteers, the officials, all of the athletes and the coaches. I do know that one thing that the officials, especially those on the water, are really careful about is not waking these crews. So as you see the officials in their launches behind these boats, that's definitely their, safety is number one, but not waking these crews is number two, and they're doing a really nice job of that. So as we just saw with the flag, kind of helping these guys steer when they need it, and then hanging back as much as they can to ensure that water is flat for everyone and fair.
Yeah, these guys do a great job. I saw that some of these referees were here as early as 5:30 this morning. So they put in a lot of long hours. Yep. It's a pretty thankless job at a lot of these regattas. Luckily, it's been pretty good weather this week, but there's a lot of regattas where you're out there 6, 8 hours in the rain, the cold, or the heat, and then you only notice them when they affect you. Kind of, it's one of those things where, I got disqualified, or I got this, and the referees DQ me. But it's usually the rules that are disqualifying you, not the referee.
Right.
But we don't see the aspects where they do all the safety, and they make these regattas really operate like a well-oiled machine. So thank you to all our referees and volunteers.
Keeping it running smoothly in the background. And now we start to pick up the drone. So a beautiful shot here. At the top of the screen is lane 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, which means lane 3 right now is out, and that's the Penne Seashell. So lanes 2 and 3, Vesper and Penne Sea, of course, a big club rivalry there. But it is Penne Sea right now, making the best of it, holding about a length over Vesper, who's running in second. And then it's really your pick for third right now. Undine on the far side in lane 1, keeping their bow ball in it. But I'd say Undine in lane 5 as well. So a little bit of an Undine battle going on right now for third.
Colleen, it looks like in that Penne Sea crew out in front, there's a lot of juice coming out of the bowman, Mr. Thaddeus Babiak. I'd say he's laying down about 600 or 700 watts right now. He wants to take this thing. And his doubles partner, Ian Lutzow, just a lot of juice in that boat, a lot of power. It looks like they've broken open water here as we come into the last 1,000 meters.
Wow, yes, they are on the move, and again, another final. This is all finals today. These guys are racing for medals right now, so a lot of speed coming out of all of these shells, absolutely, and most notably the Penne Sea shell out in front. But pretty fun to see the rest of these crews really jockeying for what could be a silver medal, a bronze medal, or unfortunately, if you come up short and finish fourth, no medal.
No medals for you. It's do or die. But like you said, what a tight pack here overall. It really could be anybody's race still at this point with about 750 meters to go. It's a nice tight field, and it looks like that Penne Sea boat starting to really separate. They want to win this thing, but behind them, a really tight battle in lane 2 and lane 5. That's your Vesper crew and your Undine crew, so a lot of Philly action going on here. They're fighting for that silver medal, and hot on their heels, we have lane 1 and lane 6. That's another Undine crew and an unaffiliated crew. They're really, they want to get in the party here, so we'll see how it all shakes out in this final 500 meters here as they cross through that last red buoy.
And it looks like Undine in lane 5 making a bit of a push. So again, an absolutely beautiful shot from the drone here. But we can see the Vesper shell in lane 2, pretty close to the Undine crew in lane 5. I think those two really jockeying for that silver medal right now, that second place position. So these guys are now coming closer to the shore.
A lot of Philadelphia grit in this race here. A lot of Philly pride on the line. So we'll see what they throw at us here in these last 40 strokes as they wind it up in this grand final here, the men's intermediate double. Really tightening up. It still looks like that Penn AC crew has established themselves at the front of the field, but behind them it looks like we have lanes 1, 2, 5, and 6 really hot on their heels. Could be anybody's race for silver and bronze. Somebody's going to walk home empty.
And now moving into the last 250 and into the red buoy zone. Penn AC holding the lead. But what an exciting race right now for that second place position.
Yeah, what a race here. It's really winding up. And that Penn AC crew still holding strong. Behind them, though, still anybody's chance. It looks like lane 6 starting to drop back just a little bit, but lanes 1, 2, and 5 really throwing down. Anybody's race for that silver and bronze medal, but right now it's all Penn AC for the gold. I didn't want to say this too early, but Thaddeus did personally guarantee me that he would win this race this time last week at Mercer Lake. So it looks like he's going to deliver. Him and Mr. Lutzow from Penn AC, they will win the gold medal in this men's intermediate double final. But right behind them, it's really hot. It's really hot. Lane 1, lane 2, lane 5. And,
wow.
Oh, way too close to call. Ooh. What a sprint. What a sprint from everybody.
Wow. Well, results here on that race in just a moment.
So lane 1 and lane 5 there, that's 2 Undyne crews. I would say they were 2-3. Which order, I don't know. But great sprint from everybody. Excellent race there. And just like that, we're off in the men's intermediate 8 final. A lot of power here. We're looking right now, lane 4, the Potomac crew. They're thundering off the blocks. High and hard, trying to get their bell ball out in front, establish themselves in this race. Left to right, we're going to have Riverfront Recapture, the under-18 high-performance composite B, the New York Athletic Club, Potomac, who you see now on your screen, Vesper, and Riverside. Again, this is the grand final of the men's intermediate 8, racing for the medals. This should be a great race, wire to wire, our first 8th race of the day. And it looks like a nice clean start from this Potomac crew.
Saw these guys warming up this morning and they looked pretty sharp, both them and Vesper, which is exactly what you'd expect in an intermediate category.
Potomac, of course, rowing down in D.C., our nation's capital. A great old historic club there with a lot of history and a lot of great action going on. And now as we pan out to the left of your screen, you can see that New York Athletic Club. Potomac still on the center of your screen, and Vesper to your right. Looks like a great race heating up between all these crews here as we roll through about 500 meters down. And as we go overhead, you can see it's a real tight pack. It looks like just on the outsides, lane 1, lane 6, Riverfront Recapture, and Riverside, they've dropped back just a touch, which can be critical in these 8th race, but they're not out of it. But lanes 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the under-18 team. New York Athletic Club, Potomac, and Vesper. They're really in this thing. Not much to choose between them. Looks like maybe lane 3, that New York Athletic Club, has just poked out by a couple of seats, but behind them, nothing much to choose between the rest of these crews as we roll through about 750 meters down.
Wow, and what a shot right now looking at these 8s races. The big boats are just so fun to watch because they go so fast. But right now it is New York Athletic Club with just about a half a length lead over the 2 closest boats running behind them, which are Potomac and the under-18 high performance team.
It's not working.
What isn't working?
All right, as we roll through about 1,000 meters, here we go. It looks like that New York Athletic Club crew still holding out in front, but lane 5, the Vesper crew starting to sneak up on them, and they're bringing lane 4 Potomac with them. Lane 2, the under-18 team, just dropping back a touch. but they still have contact. But it looks like the New York Athletic Club has responded. They're holding their lead, but Vesper is coming strong. As we roll through just about 750 meters to go, the top three have started just to peel away from the pack a little bit. That under 18 team trying to hold strong. They still have contact with Potomac. I'd say it's still the New York Athletic Club, but Vesper's hot on their heels, and Potomac is right there too. It's anybody's race at this point as we roll through about 600 meters to go.
And it looks like the Nyack shell doing a really nice job of getting long, powerful strokes. We see the Potomac shell, who's a little less than a length behind them, perhaps a bit higher with the stroke rate. But the Nyack shell, I think, looks pretty efficient, and that rhythm is really working for them as they start to press away from the rest of the field with just about 500 meters to go. So everyone on shore, get on your feet and help cheer these eights along, because it's going to be a tight and exciting race for medals right now in the men's intermediate 8. Right now, it's Nyack. Not sure much can change, Kyle. What do you think?
I don't know. It's going to be a tight finish. They're charging away. Like you said, they look like they're in control. They might have a little bit of room to go up if they need it as well. That's what's great about this drone shot, too. You really get that view of the spacing and the send of the boat. It's a really nice shot, and it gives you a lot of information about how the crew's doing. And as we come through, it looks like about 350 meters to go. It's still Nyack with Vesper coming up, but Nyack still looks pretty comfortable. I'd say they still have maybe one more gear to go. Potomac has dropped back. The under-18 team, they're still hanging about a length back, but they've brought the rate up. They want to get back in the party here. But it's still all Nyack as we roll through about 30 strokes to go. We'll see if anybody can throw anything at them and what's going to move and shake in these last 250 meters for the rest of the medals. All right, everyone's bringing it up. That Vesper boat is coming strong. They're really bringing it up. They've brought the rate, I'd say 42 strokes a minute. Nyack has responded. Here comes the under-18 team. They're going to pass Potomac. They want to get on the medal stand here. 10 strokes to the line. It looks like Nyack, but here comes Vesper. Wow, very close, but it's going to be Nyack, followed by Vesper, and then very close with Potomac and the under-18 team. Wow, I'd give it to the under-18 team by just about a seat. A great sprint by the under-18 team to take the bronze medal. Very exciting racing there. Wow, that's what eights racing is all about.
Yeah.
And good on those under-18 guys to come up into that intermediate category and throw down with some bigger older guys and take that bronze medal. But a great race out of the New York Athletic Club. They established themselves early in that race, got out, and held strong the whole way and held off a nice charge by a surging Vesper crew at the line. All right, and just like that, we're back up to the top for the men's intermediate lightweight quad final. Right here, we're looking at the Miami Composite in lane 4. Lane 1 will have the Wayland Weston crew. Lane 2, the Undyne crew. Lane 3, Vesper. Lane 4, our Miami crew you have on the screen now. Lane 5, GMS. And lane 6, Detroit, the home of the American automobile.
Oh, man.
A lot of cheers here at the finish line. A large contingent from the under 18 high performance camp.
I think that's parents cheering to parents. Those are some rightfully
And,
so proud.
Yeah, a lot of
parents.
proud parents, a lot of proud friends here. So good for those guys.
You think all the excitement's going to mess up our signal?
I tell you, we luckily had only one or two little tiny issues with the wireless yesterday. Outstanding job by our technical crew. But let me tell you, there is electricity in the air.
There is electricity.
And
in the
you
air.
can feel it. So hopefully it does not affect our signal in any way.
I think our volunteer's getting heckled over here by his friends. I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's well, you know, you show up
It's
to
a
work in
dog-eat-dog
pajamas,
world.
and you wonder what you got to expect to get a little bit of flack.
Oh, man.
Yeah, our man Jordy here working the finish line camera for you. Flip-flops, pajamas and a tank top, but it's okay. He fills it out, and he's getting heckled by his crew here.
Yes.
But he's out here volunteering, so good for him. We appreciate it.
We do. And we're off, Kyle. We've got to start. We can see the Miami Composite crew off the line. Again, this is lane 4, so that's typically where our camera shot starts. So a really nice, clean start from this lightweight quad. As I mentioned yesterday, watching lightweight rowing, it's some of my favorite categories because you take the kind of size variant out, and these guys will have weighed in this morning, and so they've all made weight, and they're all pretty much the same weight, and it's exciting to watch this racing.
So typical for a coxswain to say something like that.
Weigh-ins are not on my mind or anything in regatta. What is the weight for men? Is it 155?
Well, this is embarrassing because I'm not sure. I know that there is currently a task force convened by USRowing to look at lightweight junior rowing.
Okay.
So I believe it's 155.
I think it's 155.
But I think there's a difference for scholastic and
yes.
different things like that. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to meet for some guys. So the weigh-in process, that can all be a lot to manage. So good for them. As we go overhead here, it looks like lanes 3, lanes 4, they've really started to slip out front here. That's going to be your Vesper crew and your Miami Composite. Behind them, very tight for that third place position, but everybody's still in the game here as they roll through just about 600 meters down in this grand final of the men's intermediate lightweight quad.
And a nice push from Vesper right now. We can see from the drone shot. So lane 1 at the top right of your screen, then lane 2, and then lane 3. So we see a nice surge coming out of that Vesper shell. That lineup in the bow, it's Samuel Lindsay in 2, Brian Kungle, lane 3, Justin Meeker, and in seat 3, Justin Meeker, and in seat 4, Campbell Cole. So they're doing a really nice job right now in the early half of this race, getting a lot of send and pushing their bow out. So some good work from the Vesper crews. Came up a little short in the men's intermediate 8 final, so we'll see what they come back with in the lightweight quad. And continuing to increase their margin. We see in lane 4 the Miami Composite crew, whom we saw up at the start with that nice shot at the beginning of the race. They're doing a really nice job right now keeping their bow ball in it as well. I'd say over in lane 1, same goes for Waylon Weston.
Yeah, wow, very impressive separation in that second 500 there to establish themselves out there in the middle of the pack. But that Miami crew holding strong. They want to hold on to this race here as we come into the second 1,000 meters.
Rowing in what probably feel like cold conditions
Yes,
for them this
absolutely,
morning.
especially after the last few days of
yeah.
hot sunshine, 90+ degrees, humidity. Very refreshing this morning.
And it's becoming a little bit of a race for silver, I think, between Miami and Waylon Weston, although Miami running second, holding that advantage at the moment by just shy of a length, maybe about half a length, 3/4 of a length lead. No doubt about it, Vesper is in control of this race right now with a good open water advantage over the rest of the field. But it's looking like it's Miami. I think we'll see if Waylon has an answer over the next couple hundred meters.
It looks like Waylon Weston rowing pretty high, pretty hard over there. They want to really surge through this third 500 and get in that silver medal position. Waylon Weston, of course, rowing out of the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts up near Boston. Surging away, it looks like they've really closed the gap here. They're starting to reel them in. I'd say they're only about a seat or 2 down off of that Miami crew, who's still holding strong while that Vesper crew continues to put margin on the rest of the field.
And a nice shot right now from the drone of the Vesper crew, really sending that shell out stroke for stroke. So Kyle, as you mentioned in the last race, the drone really does do a good job of giving us a sense of the crew's rhythm in a way that's not really easy to see from shore or to see from that angle. But the overhead shot, you can get a sense pretty quickly of how their run compares to other crews. And that's really working for Vesper right now because they've continued to open up the margin And right now, I'm still saying Miami for second, but as these guys get closer now into the last 300 meters or so, it's anyone's game for the sprint.
All right, about 40 strokes to go. It's all Vesper today, all Vesper. They've got a large open water lead in this grand final, but behind them, Miami, Waylon Weston, who's going to take that silver medal? Vesper still coming on strong. Very impressive for them as they come into the final 250 meters, those red buoys. It looks like Waylon Weston really winding it up on the inside, too. Is it going to be enough to take down that Miami crew? We'll have to see. That's the battle, though. Vesper, they're out in front, barring anything catastrophic. They will win this final and take home the gold medal. But behind them, it's Miami. It's Waylon Weston. It looks like Miami right now in that silver medal position. They've brought it up for the last 10 strokes. We'll see if Waylon Weston can shift one more time. But right now it looks like Miami, as Vesper crosses the line, they are your gold medal winners in this final, followed closely by Miami, and Waylon Weston will take the bronze. What a great race. Great race in this men's intermediate lightweight quad.
So that was Vesper picking up their first gold medal of the day, I think.
Absolutely. Great for the Philly crew, Philly club. And what a great race behind them, though, too. That crew out of Miami and Waylon Weston pushing each other, they ended up closing a lot of that gap on that Vesper crew. About 500 to go, it looked like they were going to finish in a different time zone, but then they ended up finishing right about bow stern. So a great final
Great
there.
racing. I love finals. Everybody loves finals.
This is what we all come for, right?
That's what we all come for.
All right. Next up, you got a nice view of the New York Athletic Club here in the men's intermediate lightweight Coxed 4 final. Lane 1, we have Maritime Rowing Club. Lane 2, St. Catharines. Lane 3, Vesper. Lane 4, NYAC. Lane 5, the Minnesota Development Camp. And Lane 6, PNRA Mercer. Looks like just a second here. We got someone tying their shoe. Does happen in rowing, folks. Does happen. And very good. He's checking the bolts. Always remember to check your equipment before the race. A lot of times you're putting a lot of stress on these nuts and bolts. You want to make sure they're tight. Or not only can it cost you a race, but it can be a safety issue.
So lane 4, Nyack. This will be Nyack trying to pick up their second gold medal of the day. We saw them win the men's intermediate 8 final at about 8:15 this morning. So nice shot of that crew right now.
Looks like we got a Temple hat in 2-seat from Philadelphia, unless I'm reading that incorrectly.
No, I think that's right.
All right.
Temple 150, so they've got a lightweight program. And as we mentioned yesterday, part of the fun of summer rowing is definitely racing, with folks from different collegiate teams.
Absolutely.
And coming together and kind of
And
forming
they're
those
off.
bonds.
Nice strong start out of this boat here in lane 4, New York Athletic Club.
And a nice shot of the Nyack shell. Again, this is the men's intermediate lightweight Coxed 4. So definitely can't see the coxswain from this angle, but they are laying in the bow, steering the shell. So in these types of boats, we shouldn't see, hopefully, any steering issues.
Those Cox 4s can get a little heavy sometimes.
I knew you were going to say that.
When you have those coxswains in the stern there. It's a little bit heavier boat than the straight 4, especially for these lightweight crews. So a very fast race expected here. A lot of slugfest rowing kind of going on here. All right, and as we pan out, you can still see that New York Athletic Club crew, and then on the right of your screen, we have the Minnesota Development Camp, and as we switch over to the drone, you can see what a tight field it is as we quickly approach 500 meters down. Really not much to choose between all of these crews really in this race at this point. Again, this is a grand final racing for the medals, so you want to be in that top position. There's no jockeying for qualification or pacing yourself for later. This is it. This is when it counts. So as we come through 600 meters in, it looks like lane 5, your Minnesota Development Camp, they have snuck out to an early lead, but behind them, very tight. Looks like lane 6, that PNRA Mercer crew has dropped back just a touch, but everybody's still in contact as we roll through about 7:50 in this exciting final of the lightweight intermediate men's coxed 4. Hey, congrats.
And what a shot right now. Pretty tightly packed field, so this is stacking up to be a very exciting final. Really your pick right now, though maybe slight advantage to lanes 2 and 3, but 4s and 5 are right in the mix.
Yeah, a lot of action in this final here. It's one thing you got to hand over to lightweight racing is usually a lot of tight racing, wire to wire, like you said. Not a lot of physical differences between the crews. So it really comes down to that technical aspect and a lot of the smaller variables. So it usually keeps a lot more contact throughout the course here in some of these finals here at Club Nationals. Looks like lanes 3, 4, and 5 just kind of starting to coalesce as the lead pack here. Lane 2 dropping back just a touch, and on the outside is lane 1, lane 6. Just starting to slip a little bit out of the pack as things heat up as we roll through 1,000 meters. But still, anybody's game here. Looks like the middle of the course, lanes 2 through 5, those are your solid medal contenders, but on the outsides, they're still in this thing as we have about 850 meters to go.
And giving the advantage right now to Vesper. Looks like they're starting to make a bit of a push here with about, I don't know, hard to say, but maybe a deck advantage or so, maybe a little bit more. But it looks like Vesper still leads St. Catharines, though, right on their tail. And Vesper holding the lead now, very tightly packed here, though. And in fact, it looks like they're starting to be challenged really by lanes 4 and 5. So Nyack, Minnesota Dev Camp.
Yeah, what a race here developing, not just for any of the medals, but for that first place gold medal that everybody wants. Really developing on the outside here. Minnesota, New York Athletic Club, Vesper, all three of those crews definitely in position to take the gold. It's going to be who wants it as we roll through about 500 meters to go here in this men's lightweight intermediate coxed 4 final.
This is a race where I would be thinking about sprinting early if you're that tightly packed at about 500 meters to go. We're now, of course, well past that. These crews approaching 250 to go, but might be a good race to sprint a little bit early if you can swing it. As you said, Kyle, really all of these crews right now are going after gold, so no reason not to.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to make something happen early and see if you can shake the can a little bit and make something happen and ride it all the way to the finish line. Very, very close here as we roll through about 350 meters to go. Looks like lane 1, lane 2, that is your Maritime group, your St. Catharines crew. They've wound it up. They're getting back into the pack, but it still looks like New York Athletic Club, Vesper, they're in the front here. It looks like that St. Catharines crew is past Minnesota. They're bringing it up. They want to get on the medal stand, but also here comes Maritime. They're putting in a big sprint here. Looks like about 43 strokes a minute for that St. Catherine's crew. Nyack's brought it up, 40 strokes a minute. But here comes Vesper. Going to be very close at the line. Last 10 strokes here as they all wind it up. A little look at it at Vesper crew. Here we go.
It's a race for silver, and right now it looks like Vesper will be taking silver just behind Nyack.
And it's Nyack at the line, followed by Vesper, and then very, very close here, very close. Wow. Really nothing to choose between that St. Catherine's and that Minnesota crew. If you had a gun to my head, I'd say it was St. Catherine's, but very close. Very great racing across the board from all these crews. And rounding off the pack here, that PNRA Mercer crew out of Mercer Lake. And just like that, we're back up to the top. The women's intermediate lightweight double final. On your screen now, lane 4. That's not lane 4. Lane 5, your GMS crew. Left to right, you'll have Vesper, lane 1. Newport, Seabase, lane 2. Y Quad Cities Composite, lane 3. Vesper, lane 4. GMS on your screen now in lane 5. And the Pittsburgh Composite, the Steel City, in lane 6.
So as we mentioned yesterday on both the men and the women's side, GMS always putting in some good entries for sculling events. So that GMS crew that we're looking at right now has done a nice job off the start. They're definitely someone that I'll be keeping an eye on as this race develops.
Yeah, it looks like a nice clean start for them. Nice clean blade work as they're humming along about 500 meters into this race. And it looks like we may have had a scratch in that Vesper crew in lane 4, as I don't see them on the screen. But again, this GMS crew humming along.
And quite possible that we did have a scratch there because, as you rightly say, there is no crew in that lane, but we can now see in the camera view the Y Quad Cities crew, another program that puts out really great scullers and sculling shells. So we'll see, of course, with the drone shot what margins look like. But right now these two crews seem to be pretty close, the GMS and the Y Quad Cities. Nice for the officials, though. I suppose they get their own lane in this race.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. So now moving through probably about the 750 or so. And starting to pick up that nice drone shot now. So two Vesper crews in this event. We've got Vesper in lane 1, that's Elaine Tierney and Grace D'Souza. And another Vesper shell in lane 4, Rachel Pierce out of Duke University. And Emma Starr. So some team bragging rights definitely on the line in this race right now.
Absolutely, and that's sometimes even more important than the medals.
Yeah.
What a shot there of the downtown Philadelphia Center City and the skyline in the background and the beautiful boathouse here, Camden County, as we roll through 1,000 meters. Still looks like that under 19 crew really thundering away. Sorry, the Y Quad Cities, as I read the wrong
Kyle.
cell on my sheet.
Yeah, Y Quad Cities looks great right now. Clearly in control of this race out of lane 3, so in the favored lanes.
What a great program they have going there. A lot of great racing coming out of that program. They're just a name we keep seeing popping up in these finals, and I feel like we just keep talking about them as they go through this regatta with a lot of great performances, especially in these smaller boats, just being able to string together victories, kind of like that Tom Brady approach of just
keep winning.
Keep checking those boxes, and that's how you build it, and that's how you make a successful program. So good for them. But what a race heating up behind them for that silver medal.
Starting to get a little bit tight, I'd say. In fact, I think that battle for silver right now is kind of elevating the field because both of these crews are starting to get a touch closer to the Y Quad Cities. So that is the Vesper crew in lane 1 and the GMS crew in lane 5 right now, pushing each other kind of from the bookend sides of the course, going after that silver medal, and I think we're starting to see a really nice press from GMS.
Yeah, they're really starting to wind it up. They may even be closing the gap completely on that inside crew out of Vesper. And again, they're pretty far across the course from each other, so they won't really have each other in that periphery at this point unless they want to take a look. So it'll be interesting to see how we see them wind up as they come through. About 500 meters to go here in the final of this women's intermediate lightweight double.
And it's Vesper to cross into the last 500 first, but GMS on the move. Vesper in lane 1, pushing them. Again, it's a battle for silver right now, but at the same time, that battle can just push ahead, I think, and potentially threaten the Y Quad Cities shell that's leading right now. So sometimes, again, you have these kind of little battles happening behind the leader. But if both of those crews are gaining speed, then they might well see themselves getting a bit closer to Y Quad Cities. So for now, Y Quad Cities still running first, but GMS and Vesper, GMS in lane 5, Vesper lane 1, where we're going to want to look as these crews move into the last 250.
And here we go. It looks like that inside crew there, they've really started to wind it up. That Vesper boat, they're really thundering away here as we come into 250. It's Vesper, it's Y Quad Cities. On the outside, GMS, they're coming up too.
Wow. This is an exciting final for the women's
intermediate. This is going to be a great race. You're going to want to have your eyes on the finish line here. As we come through, about 20 strokes to go. It looks like it's still Y Quad Cities. We'll see if Vesper can bump it one more time. On the outside, GMS, they look like your bronze medal contenders right now. But keep an eye on lane 2 from Newport Sea Base. They're winding it up too. As we come through to the line, a late push by the Vesper crew, but it will be Y Quad Cities to take your gold medal here, followed closely by Vesper for the silver, and GMS will take the bronze. Great racing here all around in this grand final of the women's intermediate lightweight double.
And Y Quad Cities picking up their first gold of the day.
Good for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. Should we make an announcement?
I was thinking.
And back up at the start, we have a start to the women's intermediate Coxed 4 final.
And here we have the under-19 women's selection camp rowing in those Vespoli tanks. Thundering away here. We have 3 entries from the women's under-19 selection camp in this race, lanes 2, 3, and 4. On the inside, lane 1, we have CRI. Lane 5, Ready, Set, Row, and lane 6, we have a Cincinnati Juniors composite. So this should be a great race here in the grand final of the women's intermediate Coxed 4.
And a nice shot right now of the under 19 lane 4. So a clean start across the board. And of course in lanes 2, 3, and 4, we have the U19 women's selection camp. So these women no stranger to training and racing together.
In many ways, this might be just like another day of practice for them.
Yeah.
Couple boats across, Cox 4s throwing down. See who can get their bow ball out in front.
You think there's some college coaches with an eye on these athletes right now out
I
there?
would hope so. I would hope that they're out here watching these ladies throw down. A lot of great rowing going on here, and then obviously a lot of great opportunities for these ladies down the road in the collegiate rowing world. What a great shot down the course here again. Looks like that selection camp boat really starting to peek out ahead of the field, and we'll switch over to the drone in just a second now and show you the overhead view. Can you guys tell all these people who win medals to come here? That would be awesome, and we can have them on the air. Like, hey, congrats on winning, how was it? Blah, blah, blah. That would be awesome. So whoever's running, like whoever hands out the medals, tell them they have to come here. And then we'll see if some of them don't win.
And then we'll see if they listen. And a beautiful shot from the drone now coming in on the screen. The top right of your screen is lane 1, which means that lane 2, the U19 women's selection camp in lane 2, is really pressing their bow out in this women's intermediate 4. So right now they run first. The lane 3 U19 boat behind them, and the lane 4 U19 boat looks to be running second. So it's 1, 2, and 3 for the under 19 women's selection camp. But right now, lane 2 is out in front. Really nice shot right now of that shell. And Kyle, as you rightly say, probably feels a little bit like another day of practice.
I tell you right now, I feel like I'm watching a commercial. It's unbelievable
It's a
footage from our
gorgeous shot.
drone here of a nice, the sun off the water and 3 boats just throwing down, beautiful rowing.
Do you want to give a plug to Fat Ergos now?
Oh man, I think
too far.
I never got I got to issue an invoice to them for that for yesterday because I'm pretty sure that sales increased somewhere between 8,000% and 9,000% overnight. So hopefully that they pay it forward, mostly to me, but also to the community.
Wow, what a shot though. This is just gorgeous. And lane 2 under 19 continues to run first. It's getting a little dicey for silver though right now between lanes 3 and 4. So the lane 3 U19 boat running third, but just by a deck behind the lane 4, and that might be starting to change now mid-race. And I dare say it is. We see lane 3 U19 women's selection camp now racing bow ball by bow ball here with the lane 4, and lane 3 maybe even starting to push ahead. Again, one of the benefits of the drone shot is that you really do have a great sense of margins here.
Here comes some geese.
Oh,
Here comes some
no.
geese. Hit them.
Oh, they're out.
They're out of the way.
They're
Lucky
out.
for the rowers, they're out of the way. But wow, they really surged through. I think that the coxswain may have called for a surge to attack the geese there, and they've actually closed the gap on their teammates, and they're starting to draw level as we come through about 500 meters to go.
Oh, man. Nothing like geese to motivate you through a power 10.
I tell you, I don't think anything would make me pull harder than knowing that I could take out one of those things.
And now it's lanes 2, 3, and 4 running in that order. Lane 2 continues to hold the lead.
You know, what's interesting, though, is that lane 2 is listed as the A boat, lane 3 is listed as the C boat, and lane 4 is the B boat. So it looks like a little bit of disturbance in the force here. The killer bees jumping up there. A little bit of an upset within the camp system. We'll see how that bodes for the bus ride home. But they're all going to walk away with medals, it looks like, at this point. So we'll see what color each one ends up grabbing, though, as we come through about 350 meters to go.
There's nothing like being the B boat and beating the A boat, or being the 2V beating the 1V. It's a lot of fun. So rooting for everyone, but there's only one gold medal, there's only one silver, and only one bronze.
Exactly. And here we go. Looks like everybody winding it up. A nice race here. Still looks like we're holding strong in that lane 2 crew, thundering away. It's all selection camp here, all selection camp as we come into the final 20 strokes of this race.
Super tightly packed here. What an exciting final in the women's intermediate 4.
And here we go as they bring it up. It's all selection camp. This lane 2 crew bringing it up one more time. And it looks like they will take this final, followed by the C boat in lane 3. And then the B boat in lane 4. That order will hold as we cross the line. And again, it's all selection camp for the medals here. Great racing by these ladies, but here we go for 4th place. A great race developing. CRI and Cincinnati Juniors, lanes 1 and 6 on the outside of the course. Here we go. It looks like Cincinnati's got a little bit of an advantage as we come to the line, and Cincinnati will take it over CRI by about a half a length. Great racing to stay in it there for that 4th place position by Cincinnati. Again, this is the final, so obviously you're racing for the medals, but if you're outside of the medals, you want that 4th spot. If you're not 4th, you want to be 5th. You want to make sure that you beat as many crews as possible. If you get a medal, that's great, but there's still a lot of pride on the line for all these competitors out there. So great on them to keep that fight alive all the way through.
Especially between CRI and Cincy Juniors. They both have incredible junior programs on the women's side. So
absolutely.
Good to see that.
All right, we'll take you back up to the top for the men's intermediate pair final. Should be some great racing here as we take a look at the Seattle crew in lane 4 or lane 3. 2 Seattle crews in this race. Left to right, we'll have the Cal Berkeley crew in lane 1, the Greenwich crew in lane 2, Seattle crew in lanes 3 and 4, the New York Athletic Club in lane 5, and Greenwich again in lane 6. And we're ready, and they're off. And we have a start. Looked like a little bit of torque from the port side in that Seattle crew, but they're off to a nice start there.
It's like the quintessential summer rowing shot right there with the sparkling water, tanks, sun.
Just throwing down out here, early morning racing. Again, these pairs, a little bit slower boats, so sometimes a little more strategy into these races. Not always as critical to blast off as, say, an 8, where you really can't afford to spot any distance off the start. Sometimes some people are a little bit better or worse off the start in these smaller boats, and they do have time to reel in the rest of the field over the course of the race. But you don't want to give up too much off the beginning, so it looks like a nice clean start here. We have our 2 Seattle area crews.
Where's the quad winners? The Orion quad winners. Yeah, tell them to come up here. We want to interview winners. Okay. Seriously, we're just shooting the breeze up here, looking for people to talk to. Oh, come on. We pay a lot. Yeah, no, we pay a lot.
All right, as we roll through about 500 meters in, sun's starting to peek out here down in central Jersey. Still just a little bit of clouds and shade up at the start, but the sun really starting to shine down here towards the finish line, heating up that air. A beautiful sunny summer Sunday here in New Jersey.
Kyle, you know where you can get free sunscreen?
I heard the USRowing tent may be offering free sunscreen.
That's right.
You don't want to miss out on that, folks. Very important that you have protection from the sun as it comes out here. As I said yesterday, I just can't imagine thinking that you're tougher than the sun. The sun, of all
I think
people.
you're going to lose
I
that.
get that people are tough here, but the sun. All right, and as soon as we have that drone camera for you, we'll take a look and see what's going on. It looks like a little bit of steering issue in that New York Athletic Club boat. They're starting to peek into the lane of that Seattle crew. Hopefully it doesn't affect any of the racing. And just as we reset that start camera there for the next race, we'll switch over to the drone any second now for you. And here we go.
So as we mentioned yesterday, and I'll say it again, the pair is one of my favorite boats out there. It takes incredible skill and timing, and also too, I think to row the pair really well, just a lot of time in the pair together. So for some of, especially in the summertime, where there's a lot of lineup changes and kids from different schools hopping into boats, it can be really difficult to hit that stride and to hit that rhythm and really matching up quickly. So kudos to the guys rowing in these pairs, to everyone competing in the pairs. It's a fun boat, but it's a boat that takes a lot of skill to row well.
I agree with everything you said except for the part about the pair being your favorite boat.
Oh, the 8's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my second favorite.
And as you can see here, lane 3, that Seattle area crew, they're really stepping out here. They've really separated from the field. But behind them, lane 2, lane 4, that's your Greenwich crew and your other crew out of Seattle. They're hot on their heels for that silver and bronze medal position.
I got him first actually earlier.
Lane 6 from Greenwich, they're also trying to get into the party. Pretty spread out field here as we kind of roll through about 1,000 meters in this intermediate pair final. Again, we've got Cal Berkeley and Seattle area, so that's going to be some guys from Cal, some guys from Washington rowing down here. We can see Coach Shaw and Coach Mann standing down here at the finish line. A lot of great collegiate talent in these boats, and then also we have the New York Athletic Club and 2 crews from Greenwich. So a lot of great racing coming through these pairs as we roll through about 750 meters to go.
But wow, look at that Seattle pair right now. In fact, I think they're out of the shot. We can just barely see their stern deck now on the far right side of the screen, kind of peeking in and out. But they got out early, and they're holding right now through the middle part of this race and really towards the last 500 meters or so. It is Seattle by quite a bit right now. So if anyone's going to upset this result, they're going to have to go now.
What's really interesting, though, I think is more on the shore. We see Coach Shaw and Coach Mann from Washington and Cal. I think they're actually hugging on the shoreline here, and I think they've signed a peace treaty for the rest of the regatta. We'll have to know if they still have jobs when they go back to their respective programs after that. All right, we roll through 500 to go. It's still Seattle in lane 3 with impressive performance, but behind them, still a lot to choose as we roll through for these medal positions.
And now coming in just shy of the last 250, the men's intermediate pair final. It's looking like Seattle will claim that gold medal, but definitely a race for the silver and bronze.
And a great race from all these crews here. A lot of good rowing. Not a lot of steering issues. As the wind is just starting to pick up a puff of a tailwind here, maybe a quartering tail. Can be a little challenging for these smaller boats, but some great racing overall. Again, that Seattle crew thundering through in lane 3. But behind them, it's really heating up for that bronze and silver medal.
Seattle now in their final 10 strokes.
And as we come through the last 5 here, it will be Seattle. They will take the gold medal in this men's intermediate pair final. And behind them, it looks to be lane 4, the other crew from Seattle. Just over lane 2, the Greenwich crew. So it will be Seattle as your gold and silver medal winners, and Greenwich will take the bronze. Behind them, very hot though for Greenwich and Cal Berkeley. Not much to choose between them for that 4th place position. Great racing all around as the New York Athletic Club rounds off the pack. Great racing in that pair final though. And just like that, we'll take you back to the top though. We have a hot start for the women's intermediate single final. Left to right, you'll see Miss Shaw out of Orion, Miss Wilson from the Foundry, Miss Kuntz from Undine, Miss Kemp from Sarasota, Miss Paula rowing unaffiliated, and Miss Colette also rowing unaffiliated.
So
Nice shot here of Miss Kemp from Sarasota. A nice clean start from her. Also, just a reminder to all of our medal winners, make sure you stop by the finish line to say hi to the commentary crew. Just get a little shout out on the air, online.
yeah, we want to hear from you.
We want to hear about the race. We want to hear how it went, what you did, what worked, what didn't. All right, nice shot here as we roll through just about 500 meters down in this women's intermediate single final. Again, we had some hot semifinals yesterday in this
Yeah.
event, so there should be some great racing all the way down, again, racing for the medals here. And again, the wind just picking up just a touch. It's very similar to yesterday where we have a light tailwind. It's actually pretty refreshing this early in the morning. But a light tail, maybe a quartering tail coming just a little bit off the course, providing a little more protection perhaps to those far lanes 5, lane 6. And then the occasional gust, but really nothing to affect too much. Fortunately so far. Hopefully that holds throughout the whole day.
And now switching over to the drone shot, we just had a shot of Rosa Kemp and started to pick up Madeline Kuntz of Undine. Again, as Kyle mentioned, all of these names, of course, we saw in the semifinals yesterday, and a very exciting final it looks to be developing right now.
And it looks like we just had a little issue there with the drone. We have multiple wireless antennas located down the course, so we're hoping to be issue-free through the day, but every once in a while just a little bump. Looks like lane 4, your crew of Miss Kemp from Sarasota, she's really stepping out in the beginning of the field here. And what a treat round. We have the winners of the men's intermediate double here, Mr. Lutzow, Mr. Babyak, just for a quick little chat. So guys, talk us through the race there. Talk us through that final, your gold medal performance. What's going through your head as you cross the line there?
There was a great deal of excitement from both of us. Very exciting to finally kind of get through that intermediate level of racing, and now we can start focusing on elite level races. A really, really nice way to start off the day for both of us.
So how many more races do you guys have going on today?
I have 2 more. Ian and I are racing the elite scene double later today. So that will be a fun event. Hopefully get conditions stay fast, they stay fair, and make a good showing of it.
All right, and then so you guys are both training out of Philadelphia. How's that been?
Yeah, training underneath Sean Hall has been a really good treat for us. He's been really progressing our rowing since we came there. I came out of Drexel University, and I know Thad came out of CRI, so I think both of us has gained a good amount of speed coming out of Penn AC.
Now, Ian, look at these biceps. Are you a bodyguard or a bodybuilder, or what's the deal here?
No, I just like to grab at the catch a lot.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming up. Good luck with the rest of your race, and we'll let you get back to your recovery, and congratulations.
And meanwhile, in the women's intermediate single, it is Rosa Kemp all day from Sarasota right now. So she is leading the pack out of lane 4.
Yeah, great rowing. Sarasota, what another fantastic program we have down there in Florida. A lot of great development coming out of there. A lot of excellent rowers. Obviously, that beautiful course. And the field starting to separate out just a touch here as we roll through about 800 meters to go in this intermediate single final. It looks like right now your second place position is lane 3, Miss Kuntz from Undine. But behind her for the bronze, it's hot between lanes 2 and lanes 5. Miss Wilson from the Foundry and Miss Paula rolling unaffiliated. So we'll see what happens as we roll through the last 2 minutes of this race.
And it looks like Rosa Kemp rose out of Buffalo during the year, the University of Buffalo. So from warm, sunny Sarasota up to Buffalo. Clearly that's working for her as we look at her now in that gold medal position coming through the last 500 meters or so.
Buffalo, what a tough city up there
Yeah.
in western tier in New York. Just a lot of grit in that city. And you need it being so close to Canada, you know. You got to be careful.
Sure do. So we saw great racing from Rosa Kemp in the semifinals and kind of earlier in the heats and the qualifying races. She's really got a nice rhythm, a nice powerful stroke going on right now, and again holding on to that gold medal position right now with just about 400 meters to go.
Yeah, very impressive, just wire to wire control out in front, unfazed, just continuing to row her race out in front of the pack there. Very impressive.
And now just approaching the last 250, Rosa Kemp of Sarasota continues to lead in the women's intermediate single.
Behind her, though, that bronze medal race still heating up. Lane 2, lane 5. Still some time for somebody to make a move and establish themselves for that bronze medal position. Right now it looks like Sarasota, she'll take the gold as it holds. Behind her in lane 3, Ms. Kuntz from Undine. She's still in that silver medal position, holding off lanes 2, lanes 5, Miss Wilson from the Foundry, and Miss Paula rowing unaffiliated. We'll see what holds in these last 20 to 30 strokes here.
And right now it's looking like an open water win for Sarasota's Rosa Kemp out of lane 4, but absolutely a battle for silver happening right behind her. And that's lane 3, Madeline Kuntz, a nice push out of Undine right now in that silver medal position. So a really nice sprint then running third in lane 5, Federica Palla of Unaffiliated.
What a great finish in this final of the women's intermediate single.
So Sarasota picking up their first medal of the afternoon, the morning.
I tell you don't come all the way from Florida not to compete for the medals.
That's right. All right, where are these kids? It's a single. That was perfect. It was a singles race. It's, like it's already longer, you know?
And just like that, we're back to the top. The men's intermediate lightweight single final. Left to right, you'll have Mr. Kanapka from Undine, Mr. Volkner from St. Catharines, Mr. Gregory from Maritime, Mr. Hopkins on your screen now from Orion, Mr. Ragland from Minnesota, and Mr. Ruff from V Skulls. And it looks like we're just getting set up on top there. We'll have this race started for you any second now. Should be another exciting final. We had some great racing in the semifinals of this event yesterday. Conditions still holding great here this morning. Course is in great condition. I saw the crews going over the lanes this morning, tracked the lanes, fixed a buoy or two that had come out and swept the course, made sure it's safe for all the competitors, no debris. So a lot of great racing on tap today.
a nice shot right now of Ben Hopkins out of Orion in Saratoga Springs, New York. Looks like he's maybe chatting with the stake boat holder, the guy next to him. Maybe not. Now gaining his point. So some of the most intense moments in a way are felt up in these kind of last 30, 60, 90 seconds before the race is called and people are gaining their points and aligning. A lot of anticipation. So all of these athletes really bringing it internal, especially in a single, gaining their points, their focus.
I always loved when people started slapping their legs. I never really got that,
Yeah.
always some sort of action.
Yep.
Just gotta make some noise, keep some spirit up there at
Yeah.
the start, especially these smaller boats where it can be really quiet.
It's an intimidation tactic too. And this is the 9:12 a.m. race, so just a couple minutes off here, but we should be underway any moment.
Looks like we got just a little wake rolling through at the starting line area here. So in the interest of fairness and safety, just letting that roll through. And once the water has calmed just a touch, we'll have a start. And as you can see,
Oh,
that's
nice.
why
Yep.
we have Mr. Hopkins from Orion just raising his hand, making sure the officials are aware that there is a little bit of bounce rolling through. And here we go. We have a start.
Shoot.
And
And
it
bit of a
looks
false
like-
start.
Yeah, we have a false start here. So we'll all the competitors will back up into the stake boats. We'll reset, and we'll rerun this start. You know, it's interesting when you have a lot of different things going on at the start. If you have a wake
Yeah.
or any sort of diversion or
Yep.
issue with the boat, and sometimes you have a crew go early. Sometimes
Yep.
they call a start, they don't acknowledge the hand, and a crew will stay in the
Yep.
blocks. So there can be a lot of different things going on that you need to be aware of, and it takes a very mature crew sometimes if
Does.
something's not right to stay.
Yep.
And to, a lot of times the rules are different based on the regatta, but you got to make sure you're aware and you know what's best for you, because it can be, like you said, very intimidating if everybody goes and
Right.
you have a problem. Sometimes
Right.
you might just go, and that can end up costing you the race. So you want to make sure that you're confident up there.
Absolutely, and it looks like that's perhaps just what we saw a second ago. So that wake was rolling through. The official started the race, and Ben wasn't ready to go. So good by him to come back into the starting blocks and make sure that he's ready in a line, because we did see that wake kind of rolling in behind him. But now he's ready, as is the rest of the field, I presume.
All right, folks. So it looks like we just had Just a slight delay in this race. We had a crew just a little late to the line. Sometimes, especially in these regattas where we have a lot of hot seating and a lot of doubling up, competitors, they're racing back and forth just to get up to the line. So every once in a while we have someone a minute or so late. Not a big deal. They get a warning and we go on with it. But then we did have a false start, as you saw. And then it looks like we had another false start. So as long as it's a separate competitor, you can keep having false starts. Everybody gets one warning. Basically, you get one mulligan. So we'll back it up and we'll line it up again. Everyone can take a deep breath and hopefully third time's a charm here.
Yeah. And kudos to these athletes that are up there. It's not fun to have a false start or have anything go wrong at the start. As we were saying earlier, it's already kind of a moment where you need to focus and you need to think about relaxing and the race that's ahead of you. So kudos to these guys who I'm sure are dealing with it well up there.
Absolutely. You think being late, going once, going twice, it's like icing the kicker.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And it looks like we're getting set, hopefully this time without issue.
And we now see Ben Hopkins of Orion locked in up at the catch, which means we should be close to a start. And they're off. A nice, clean start. You see the rest of these crews as the camera kind of pans out, but a really nice, straight, clean start from Ben Hopkins of Orion.
And it looks like just a touch to the buoy there. Looks like he clipped maybe one buoy, a nice correction there, not to get flustered.
Sending the geese to the next lane.
Those geese, they got to get out of there.
Especially in a singles race.
Absolutely. Those things, actually I heard that concept too is available at the staging area at the launch and recovery area. They are offering blade sharpening for the tops of your blades. If you're wondered if geese could get in your way, they're encouraging a hard feather and a sharp blade. That way you can make it quick and easy. All right, and as we roll through just about 400 meters down, looks like a nice rhythm developing in the center of the field here. Lanes 3, lanes 4, some nice rowing going on.
And it looks like Ben Hopkins with his doubles partner was the winner of the Stotesbury Cup. So great to see some good youth in this intermediate category.
Stotesbury Cup, what a great race. Historic Philadelphia race.
Oh, yeah.
The largest high school regatta in the world.
So fun.
Actually held right here on the Cooper River this year.
Yes.
Due to that massive flooding we had over on the Schuylkill. What an operation it was to get that over here inside of 48 hours. So what a great race that we were able to host here. And as we shoot to the overhead camera, again, it looks like a very tight field as we come through about 750 meters in. Looks like maybe lane one, Mr. Ruff from V Skulls. He's starting to establish himself as the favorite in this race. Again, generally these races, you see them seeded out from the middle. So 3 and 4 would be your semifinal winners. 2 and 5 would be your semifinal runner-ups. And the outside lanes would be your last qualifiers in. So to see someone coming up on lane 1 in such a dominating fashion, very impressive. I would consider him the underdog in this race. But obviously the drone image shows otherwise.
Yeah, really nice push from James Konopka from Undine out of lane 1. He now holds an open water advantage over the rest of the field. Back to second place It's Owen Volkner of St. Catharines in lane 2. And just, I'd say, maybe about a deck ahead of Reese Gregory out of Maritime. So lanes 1, 2, and 3 kind of have their own little race happening up in the front. Then back to lanes 4, 5, 6, with lane 5, Perry Ragland out of Minnesota running 4th right now, although very, very close between he and Christian Ruff out of V-Skulls. But right now, no doubt about it, is James Konopka out of lane 1, and Kyle, as you rightly say, is the underdog in terms of seeds in this event. He got out early. He looks to be continuing to hold, but it's still fairly early in the race, now in the second 500. In lanes 2 and 3, he'll definitely want to keep an eye on. Looks like lane 3, Reese Gregory out of Maritime starting to make a push.
Yeah, it looks like the field tightening up for that gold medal position as we come through just about 750 meters to go. Lane 1, lane 2, lane 3, those are your contenders for the gold. Lanes 4, 5, 6, a little bit out of it right now. They're going to have to make a big play here if they want to get back in the hunt for the medals, because right now it looks like lanes 1 through 3, that's where you want to be.
And Reese Gregory out of Maritime getting work done in the body of the race in the second 500. Again, we saw lanes 2 and 3, Reese Gregory, Owen Volkner out of St. Catharines start to really press at about 600 down, just past the 500-meter mark. And they've definitely made up some water over James Konopka, who had a really nice start. So all of that to say that the field is starting to get really tight for that gold medal position.
This should be an exciting close as we come through just about 500 meters to go.
And look out for Reese Gregory out of Maritime. He's on the move, continuing to gain water over lane 1. Although I would say James Konopka out of Undine in lane 1 does continue to hold the advantage, but it's getting really, really tight for that first place position, which means Owen Volkner out of St. Catharines in lane 2 is now running 3rd. And about a deck or so advantage to James Konopka out of Undine, maybe even a half a length. This is going to be a really exciting singles final for gold medals, silver medals, and the bronze. And an especially tight race right now for that first place position. And it's 250 meters to go. Keeping an eye on lane 1, James Konopka out of Undine. Lane 3, Reese Gregory out of Maritime. Owen Volkner out of St. Catharines, not to be left out. What an exciting final for the men's intermediate lightweight single. Kyle, you're a bit taller than I am. Let me know what you see up there.
It looks like lane 1 and lane 3. It's going to be one of them for the gold. Mr. Konopka, Mr. Gregory. Both of them really pumping it up. It's going to be close at the line. I'd give it to Mr. Gregory, but here comes Konopka. 5 strokes to the line. Very, very close, but I'm going to give the victory to Mr. Gregory from Maritime, followed by Mr. Konopka from Undine, and Mr. Volkner from St. Catharines will take the bronze medal. What a great finish there in the men's intermediate lightweight single final there. Great racing from all those crews.
we are now starting to pick up the women's intermediate lightweight pair we see coming down the course. So in this event, we have Greenwich in lane 1, Row America Rye lane 2, Potomac Composite lane 3, Greenwich again in lane 4, PNRA Mercer lane 5, and another PNRA Mercer lane 6 for the women's intermediate lightweight pair.
Looks like lane 4, our crew out of Greenwich is your early leaders as we roll through.
Isn't that 1, 2, 3, 4?
Again, this is the women's intermediate lightweight pair final. As you can see on the overhead camera, from this view, it is from your left to your right, lane 6, the Greenwich crew, lane 5, the Row America Rye crew, lane 4, excuse me, I'm reading this backwards, lane 6, PNRA Mercer, lane 5, PNRA Mercer, lane 4, Greenwich, lane 3, your Potomac Composite, lane 2, Row America Rye, and lane 1, Greenwich. But as it stands now, it looks like we have lane 3, our Potomac Composite is your leader as we roll through about 600 meters to go. These ladies actually raced early this morning at 6:45. They had a little issue with a late to the line issue yesterday in a protest that was upheld, I believe, and they were able to race in this final on the condition that they did a full race this morning to make sure that it was fair with all the other competitors. So those ladies were up there this morning at 6:45 and did a full pull down the course. And now they are leading this pack as we roll through 500 meters to go in this grand final of the women's intermediate lightweight pair. Hot race behind them, though, between multiple crews. All right, and we're rolling through about 350, 400 to go. It still looks like Potomac as your leader, the Potomac Composite.
And now just about 250 meters to go.
And behind them, it looks like we have Greenwich and Row America Rye both pumping it up, trying to compete for that silver medal. But right now, it's all Potomac Composite rowing with those red and white Boston University blades. This is one. All right, and as we come into the last 20 strokes here, it's all Potomac Composite. They have open water on the field. As we roll through, right behind them, we do have the crew from Greenwich, as well as Row America Rye. Right now, as it stands, it's Potomac Composite. They will win the gold medal, followed by Greenwich and Row America Rye. But here comes Row America Rye. Will it be enough by the line? As Potomac, your crew of Goldstein and Carl Warner, they will win your gold medal. Oh, a little crab in that Greenwich crew, but it looks like it's still going to be enough. They will take your silver medal. And Row America Rye crosses now. They will take the bronze. Followed by PNRA Mercer. What a great race again in that women's intermediate lightweight double final, or pair final, excuse me. So already in progress, taking up to the top. Men's intermediate lightweight 8 final. This will be a hot one, folks. 4 boats. Lane 2 on your left, Texas. Lane 3, Riverside. Lane 4 on the screen now, Vesper. And lane 5, Greenwich. Again, hot centers here as we're trying to make up just a little bit of time from those false starts. These 8s blasting off the line, thundering down the course already. And it looks like we're just about 400 meters into this one.
And a nice shot of Vesper in lane 4 on the camera right now with Riverside Boat Club out of Cambridge, Mass. In the lane right next to them for the men's intermediate lightweight 8 final. Still looks pretty tightly packed, I'd say, at this point, at least between the two crews we can see Riverside and Vesper.
Looks pretty sharp here, this rowing. Looks like these 8s are really
Yeah.
moving down the course here. Some nice send off these boats. That little tailwind really helping propel these boats down the course. Looking for some fast times in this event.
And Riverside, a boat club known historically for lightweight men, so we'll be interested to see how this race develops now over the next 1,000 meters rather and change.
Riverside, a great club out of Boston, of course. One of the oldest clubs on the Charles there. What, 1863?
1869, I think.
1869. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a little early. But
A little early, Kyle.
what a great club up
It's a lot
there,
of
along
fun
with
there.
all those a ton of great clubs along the Charles River up there
Yeah.
in Boston.
It's a fun summer
Of course,
program.
Boston University being the best of all of them. But,
Oh, what about the Huskies?
I think,
Upriver.
you know, that's they're a great social club down there.
The Northeastern Huskies.
It's great to have them.
Yeah.
But wow, look at this race really heating up in the middle here. Lane 3, lane 4, Riverside and Vesper. Two historic American clubs duking it out
Yeah.
as we roll through the 1,000-meter point. What
Wow.
a great shot from the drone here. These two boats, stroke for stroke, looks like maybe a slight advantage to that lane 3 Riverside crew. But actually, it looks like Vesper has responded, and they
Ooh.
actually may have taken the lead here. Tough to tell exactly the
Wow.
angle. It looks like we're just about parallel with the buoys. So it looks like these crews are just about stroke for stroke.
Yeah, they
Perfectly
are.
in time, perfectly locked together. So this is going to be
That's
a battle
wild.
all the way down to the finish here. Looks like a little bit of a move out of that Vesper crew. They want to establish themselves here, but Riverside is not letting them walk away. I'd say it's about a deck for Vesper right now as we come through about 700 meters to go. Those two have really separated. They've left Greenwich and Texas behind. And it's going to be Vesper and Riverside as we come into the last 2 minutes of this race. Vesper just starting to creep away, maybe about 2 to 3 seats now advantage over that Riverside crew. We'll see if they can respond as we roll into the final 500 meters of this race.
A lot of power over the last 30 or 40 strokes from the Vesper crew, although maybe Riverside's starting to respond now.
Yeah, we'll see if they actually went too early trying to put in that move, or if Riverside has something, a final card up their sleeve to try and throw at them in this last 500 meters here. Very exciting in this grand final of the men's intermediate lightweight 8.
And it continues to be Vesper, but not by much. There's definitely still time. I think we're going to see an absolutely thrilling sprint out of these two crews, the Vesper Boat Club and Riverside Boat Club in the men's intermediate lightweight 8 final. So it's a race right now for gold between Riverside in lane 3, Vesper in lane 4, and it's still pretty tight. Advantage to Vesper at the moment.
It looks like Riverside is really, they've stopped the move, they've held the move, but they've got to do something more if they want to take this in the last 30 strokes here. They've got to bump it up one more time if they want to step their bow ball out in front of that Vesper crew. As we roll into the red buoys, that's 2:50 to go. It's still Vesper, but here comes Riverside. It looks like Vesper's brought the rate up. Riverside just a beat or two lower. We'll see if they can wind it up one more time. Here they go, 40 strokes a minute for Vesper. 39 for Riverside. They're bringing it up. It looks really tight. I'd still say it's Vesper. We've got about 10 or 12 strokes to the line. Here comes Riverside.
Wow.
It's tight, really tight in this lightweight 8 final. Who wants the gold? It looks like Vesper at the line. Very close, and it's going to be Vesper. Vesper over Riverside by just about 2 feet, I'd say. Very,
Wow.
very close. A great sprint by that Riverside crew.
That is fun racing.
Very exciting. Riverside, they almost wind it all the way back up and take that. Good for Vesper to hold them off. And here comes that Greenwich crew. They will take your bronze medal. And rounding off the pack here, Texas with those great unis and blades. Making the trip up here from down south. All right, and just like that, a start to the men's intermediate quad final. On your screen now. Looks like we have the Oklahoma City High Performance Center. Lane 3. So on your left, we'll have lane 1, Potomac. Lane 2, the New York Athletic Club. Lane 3 on your screen now, OKC. Lane 4, GMS. Lane 5, Undine Boat Club. And lane 6, Potomac C. Again, this is the men's intermediate quad final. So this should be a great, fast, exciting race here.
And we'll
Looks
stand.
like we're rolling through just about 400 meters in. A little bit of buoys for that OKC crew. Hopefully they can get back on track.
And Will Stanhope back in the mix in the OKC boat out of lane 3. We saw him already once this morning in the men's intermediate double.
The Goose Slayer.
The Goose Slayer. So he's back with his brother Ethan, who's sitting in 4-seat, who's stroking the boat. The Stanhope brothers. So Potomac, Nyack, OKC, GMS, Undine, and Potomac C in this race for the men's intermediate quad final. Oh, actually, although somebody scratched, so never mind. One of them's gone.
Wow, what a shot again from that drone. Just a beautiful shot of the unbelievable venue we have here. And as you can see, those center lanes, lane 3, the Riverside, or the, Oklahoma City crew, they've poked out just in front, hot on their heels. Lane 2, that crew from the New York Athletic Club on the outside. Lanes 5, lane 6, Undine and Potomac C. They're in this thing. Lane 1, the Potomac A, they're also in it. Very hot racing here. It looks like that Oklahoma City crew, right now they're the crew to beat, but behind them it's anybody's race as we roll through. What a great view of the boathouse there as we roll up on 1,000 meters into this race.
You could just barely see Philadelphia in the background.
Just
the
in
very
the
top of
background
the
there. What a
screen.
great view of one of America's great cities.
And a really nice race developing for positions 1 through 3, with an advantage, of course, to lane 3, the Oklahoma City High Performance Center. And starting to make a push now, it looks like, through the 1,000 OKC. Maybe pushing away Nyack in lane 2 just a little bit, but definitely still overlap. There's kind of the race for positions 1 through 3rd developing, and then behind them, the race for 4th. So that's very, very tight too. 2, 3, 4, 6. In lanes 5 and 6, that's Undine and Potomac.
Hey, where are all the medalists? Where did they get the medals? They go pick them up? Can we
And OKC still running this race right here out in front, holding that lead about a half a length over Nyack. So margin's pretty consistent, I'd say, for the past 20, 30 strokes. These crews now just approaching the 500-meter mark. Little bit of a push from OKC, still overlap though on Nyack. And it's now a race for silver if OKC can hold on to that lead.
Wow, what a race here as we go into the last 500. Really heating up. Not a lot to choose between all of these boats here.
Nyack right now holding on to that second place position just by a hair over Potomac out of lane 1, who runs third. Now moving into the last 300 meters or so, it's OKC in a position for the gold in the men's intermediate quad final.
OKC looking very strong here, nice and sharp all the way to the line. Nice and together, good swing. Very nice rowing out of that crew from Oklahoma City. But here comes the other crews on the inside. Lane 1, Potomac. Lane 2, New York Athletic Club. They've wound it up. I think Potomac might even be your leader as we come into the last 250 here. This Potomac crew patient the whole way, and now they're really pouring it on. OKC's jumped the rate too. Those two are moving ahead of the New York Athletic Club. It's OKC, it's Potomac. We'll see what it holds as we come into the last 15 here. Potomac bringing it up again, 42 strokes a minute. It still looks like OKC.
Wow, what a race developing here for silver.
And as they cross the line, it will be Oklahoma City, followed by Potomac and the New York Athletic Club to round off with the bronze medal. Very tight for fourth, with Potomac just edging out Undine for that fourth place position. What a great race. Great racing all around there in that men's intermediate quad final. Next up, we'll have the women's intermediate double final with Potomac, Sora, Columbus Development Camp, Orion, another OKC crew, and a second Orion crew. As we're looking at them right now.
Yeah. And we have a start to the women's intermediate doubles final. A nice shot right now out of lane 4. It's the Orion crew. Karina Fettner and Morgan Hummel. A nice clean start from that crew. And a little bit of a steering adjustment, but a nice recovery from it. Good shot of Orion now working their way through the first 500 meters. And we'll see as the camera starts to pan out where this Orion crew stacks up against the rest of the field. That includes in lane 1, Potomac, lane 2, Sora, lane 3, Columbus Development Camp, lane 4, Orion, who we currently see, lane 5, OKC, who just picked up their first medal of the morning in the last event, and lane 6, Orion as well, of Rosemary Kine and Madison Tracer. And we now see lane 3 on the left side of the screen. That's the Columbus Development Camp of Julia Miklasevich and Rose Carr. And as far as we can see with the Columbus Dev Camp and Orion, things still seem to be pretty tightly packed in the first 600 meters of this race. And just starting to peek out now on the far left side of the screen, it's Sora in bow, Malika Dutton. In 2, Rebecca Caruso. And now starting to pick up the drone shot, we can get a better sense for margins. From right to left, it's lane 1, then 2, lane 3, so lane 4 and 5 starting to push out just a little bit. In fact, I'd say lanes 2 and 4. Some of our early leaders, so that's the Sora crew and the Orion crew. Lane 5, just about a half a deck behind the Orion crew. That's the OKC center. Although really it's pretty tightly packed. Potomac in it as well. But right now keeping an eye on lane 2, Sora. Lane 4, Orion. Lane 5, OKC. And not to be left out, Orion in lane 6. In fact, the Orion shell in lane 6, now as the drone kind of zooms in, we can see is actually leading this race out of lane 6. So it's Rosemary Kine and Madison Tresser out of Orion in lane 6 with about a half a length advantage over lane 5, OKC, who runs about a half a length advantage over the Orion shell out of lane 4. So it's lanes 4, 5, 6 that we're keeping an eye on right now. And a race for medals, really tightly packed here, lanes 4, 5, 6. Lane 6 with the advantage. I don't think so. I think it's 6. I don't know.
So this is very exciting too. We have a 7-boat final here, as one of these crews had a protest upheld after they hit a log in the semifinal yesterday. There was unfortunately quite a large log lying across one of the lanes, and they struck, and that affected their semifinal performance. Luckily for these ladies, they had a great performance in the time trial and were able to successfully appeal their performance. And they were awarded the 7th lane in this final, so they'll get a chance to compete for the medals still. A great example of the appeals process and the protest process. I hate the word protest because it sounds, like you're challenging the referees. It's really more of a process where everybody works together to come up with an appropriate solution if there's, unfortunate circumstances in the races. So great that they were able to all work that out and get this crew into the final, and what a race we have here as we come into the last 500 meters.
I have no idea what the crew is which, though, because
That's Orion.
okay.
And that's lane. That's the closest.
And it looks like Orion thundering away. Here they come, but very close behind them. OKC, Columbus, they're all in it. Anybody's race here for the gold as we come through about 350 meters to go.
And a nice push that we saw from Orion at about the 600 or so, but now closing in on the last 250.
Wow, what a race.
So the Columbus Development Camp on the move, OKC not to be left out. Orion still leading, it looks, but it's going to be a very, very tight finish here.
All right, all eyes on the outside here at the line. It looks like Orion. But right behind him, it's OKC. It's Columbus.
Orion holding the lead now in the last 10 strokes. Still contact with OKC, but Orion now pressing into these final few to capture it. It is Orion out of lane 4 to take the gold in the women's intermediate double.
And right behind them, OKC will take the bronze, and Columbus will be your bronze medal winner. Very exciting though, 4th and 5th, very tight on the outside. And 6th and 7th, lane 7 and lane 1 here. All right, what a great race from these ladies in the women's intermediate double final. And just like that, we're back up to the top, already in progress, the women's intermediate 8 final. Left to right, the under 18 girls high performance team racing up. Lane 2, Greenwich. Lane 3, the under 19 women's selection camp also racing up and throwing down. Lane 4, Ready, Set, Row. Lane 5, a second squad from the under 18 girls high performance team, and lane 6 rounding it off is Riverside. Looks like some great racing developing here as we roll through 500 meters, a very tight pack across the field.
Just like come up, yeah. I hope we don't break this roof though. And a beautiful shot from the drone here. From left to right, lanes 1 through 6.
It looks like lane 3, that under 19 women's selection camp, has started to break free of the pack. But right behind them, we have lane 4, Ready, Set, Row. They're in this. Lane 5, the under 18 women's high performance group. They're in it. On the inside, lanes 1 and 2, the other under 18 HP team, as well as Greenwich. Really, everybody's still in this thing. Riverside just a touch off the pack, but still about 1,000 meters to go as we come through this women's intermediate 8 final. Very exciting. And your lane 3 crew, the women's under 19 selection camp, that is the camp that selects the actual women's under 19 national team that will compete at the under 19 world championships. They have really started to separate from the pack here. They are bow stern on the field as they walk away as we enter the final 750 meters of this race here.
So keeping an eye on the U19 women's selection camp out of lane 3, then lanes 4, Ready, Set, Row, and lanes 5, the U18 high performance group. Youth currently winning this race at the moment. But the U19 boat out of lane 3 continuing to take meters and take water here mid-race, just shy of the 500 meter mark to go.
I tell you though, let's take a look at this Ready, Set, Row group. They're kind of wedged in between two USRowing camp boats, and they're really throwing down in the middle there. They're currently in that silver medal position, holding strong against the under 18 group coming up on both sides of them. So there should be some great racing here in the last 500 meters. You'll want to get down to the shore to take a look.
And definitely still contact between those 3 shells, the lanes 3, 4, and 5.
And as we go wide, it's still the under 19 women's camp. They are your leaders as we come into the final 40 strokes of this race. Ready, Set, Row right next to them, thundering along. The under 18 women's high performance team, they're squeezing the outsides. Greenwich is in it, Riverside on the outside. And we're entering those red buoys. That's 250 meters to go. It's still the under 19 women's selection camp. They are your leaders. Coming up hot is the women's under 18 high performance team in lane 1. They look to have snuck by Ready, Set, Row and their teammates in the other under 18 group. Large contingent here on the shore cheering on the crews. It's still the under 19 women's crew. They are your leaders as we come into the final 20 strokes of this race.
And a nice, powerful sprint out of the U19 boat. So they might be being outstroked a little bit behind them, but definitely a lot of send and a lot of power, and that rhythm is really working for them right now as they move closer to that gold medal position. It's the U19 boat out of lane 3.
And it's the U19 boat. They are going to win this final. They will take the gold on the inside, lane 1. The under-18 women's high-performance team, powered by Sarah Klauser in seat 5. They will sneak up. They're going to take the silver. And it looks like lane 4, ready, set, row, they will take the bronze. What a great race in this women's intermediate 8 final. Great racing here from all these ladies. Very tight from 1st to 6th. Great racing all the way down the track. What an exciting final.
You want to do an interview? All right, I'm going to give them my thing here. You can start.
All right, and what a treat here. We have I've been corrected, it's the Orion team, correct? Orion, not Orion, not Arian, not Orion, Orion.
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 I would say, Ryan.
Ryan, okay, I got it. So ladies, why don't you all say your names first?
My name is Sydney Michalak.
My name's Lauren Miller.
Ashley Johnson.
And Lauren Shaw.
Oh, we just raced the U23 women's, or the elite. Wait, no.
Intermediate. Intermediate quad.
And you didn't just race it, you won, right?
Yes.
A gold, right?
We
Okay,
did,
so
yeah.
that's awesome. So talk us through the race. How'd it go?
So I guess off the start we were down a little ways, and I think at least in the first 1K we really wanted to kind of establish our rhythm and stay really internal, and then we continued that through the second 1K and we started to kind of walk back up on the field, and I think it was overall kind of really a successful race for our boat. So
It was pretty fun because we were neck and neck with the other Orion boat that was entered in that event as well. So it was the two of us in 1 and 2 the whole way down the course.
Yeah, and both of those quads had only really practiced once, so it was each race we had this weekend, we kind of all learned something and got faster each time, so it's been a fun weekend.
So they have to buy you lunch, right? Because you won.
Now they do.
Now, so you ladies, are you racing other races this weekend, or is just the quad, or?
We're all entered in a couple events. So I know Sydney and I are racing the senior double later, and then
I'm also racing the senior double in a different boat, so I'll be battling
That's
them
great.
out soon.
I've got a question for Sydney. Sydney, I hear that you're the mastermind behind Regatta Dogs. Can you tell us? No. Savannah. Oh, Savannah's the
Oh, wow.
mastermind.
We don't have
Well,
a
I'm gonna let's
controversy
give a
there.
little plug to Regatta Dogs right now. It's an Instagram handle. She's their awesome teammate. It's this amazing Instagram handle where you can look at the cutest dogs in rowing, all the boathouse dogs.
What's that handle there?
It's at
At
Regatta
Dogs.
Dogs.
All right, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, they're like, no. It's like it's been shut down.
So I
All right,
see a
thank you, guys.
Syracuse hat. Are you go to Syracuse? You from Syracuse?
Oh, sorry, guys.
yeah, I just actually graduated from Syracuse this past.
So what made you want to stay in upstate New York and row at Saratoga?
I don't know.
No, I
Fast
kid.
people.
There you go.
Fast
Right,
people
good
brought me
answer.
here.
Good answer
Yeah.
there. All right, so you guys having a lot of fun training at Orion?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we've all been really enjoying the summer so far. It's a nice competitive environment, and it's what we came for. So.
It's been an absolute blast. Fast people, good practices.
That's awesome. What are your ladies' plans for the rest of the summer and then going forward then?
Well, Ashley and I qualified for U23 Worlds later this summer.
All right.
We'll be competing in Poznan, Poland, July 25th through the 29th, I believe. So
Make sure you give a plug for your fundraising page.
Please do U23 women's double.
anything helps. We love the support.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, congratulations. Good luck with the rest of your racing, and take care. Get back to recovery, and we'll see you on the race course this afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Woo, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. You won. Come on. Next race. We got to let a race come down, then we'll do you.
And meanwhile, we've got a race underway. It's the men's
When?
intermediate Class 4 final.
What
Lane
time?
1, Vesper. Lane 2, Vesper B. Lane 3, Nyack. Lane 4, Mendota.
Come up in 5
Lane
minutes.
5, New York
5 minutes, come
ACB,
up.
Nyack B. And lane 6, Riverfront.
All right. right, and this Mendota crew thundering down the course here.
That's coxswain James Catalano out of the Mendota crew, John Young in bow, Matthew Palmer in the 2 seat, Jacob Wenner in the 3 seat, and Adam Wecking in the stroke seat. And now on the left side of the screen, we start to pick up lane 3, the Nyack crew. Coral Kasdan in the coxswain seat, Benjamin Daniel in bow, Samuel Gatsos in 2, Thomas Marth in 3, and Stephen Mack stroking that boat. So a nice shot of both the Nyack and the Mendota crew as we now pan back to our drone view and start to pick up the full spectrum of the race here, with lane 1 on the right side of the screen all the way to lane 6 on the far left side of the screen.
What a shot, what a race here. Very tight field. Looks like lane 6, the crew from Riverfront Recapture, just a little bit off the pace at this point, but everybody else within 2 or 3 seats of each other as we roll through about 750 meters in at this point. Great racing in this men's intermediate Cox 4 final. Again, we have Vesper, New York AC, Mendota, a second New York AC boat, and Riverfront Recapture. And wow, look at that racing as we come through parallel here. As you can see, contact with all of our boats here. A lot of great action going on. Wow, really heating up here as we roll through 1,000 meters. Lanes 1 through 5 really in it. Lane 2, your B boat from Vesper just dropping off the pace a touch, but still with contact with their teammates in lane 1. Lanes 3, 4, and 5 really duking it out on the outside. Not much to choose between them. It looks like lane 3, your crew from the New York Athletic Club, just starting to poke their bow ball out just a little bit ahead of the field. As we're rolling through about 800 meters to go. Very exciting here in this men's intermediate Cox 4 final. A lot of power, a lot of guys doubling up in these crews. A lot of exciting racing going on.
And a really nice race developing between Nyack in lane 3, Mendota in lane 4, and really right as I say that, Nyack B in lane 5. That is super, super tight. Right now it looks like Mendota maybe at a slight disadvantage with the advantage to the 2 Nyack crews, but I mean really within a seat of each other right now. It's a really, really nice shot, and I'm sure exciting on the course and to be in the race.
This is just going to be a grind here as we enter the final 600 meters. It's going to be a matter of who really wants to take this. Nothing much to choose between these boats right from the start as we roll through. They're really duking it out. It still looks like the New York Athletic Club, they have a slight advantage on the outside. Your crew, your second New York Athletic Club boat, they may have just an inch over Mendota, but they're getting squeezed in the middle and they're coming up. The whole field is closing on the outside. Lane 1, Vesper, they're still in it. All the crews here passing through the final 500 meters.
Nice push from Nyack, now about a half a length or so over Mendota, who's running in lane 4.
They're starting to separate as we come through into the last 40 strokes of the race. Very exciting here.
And Nyack really, I think, starting to make it known that they are going after that gold medal in this very last stretch of the race, but it's a battle between the 2 Nyack crews. So Nyack B over in lane 5, not to be left out, but I think Nyack A in lane 3 is starting to take more water.
Absolutely. Looks like they're really starting to separate. It could be 2 Nyack boats on the medal stand here. Vesper still in lane 1, but they're going to have to do something really special to make this happen. But hold the phone. Here comes Mendota. It's still all Nyack in lane 3. They're thundering down. Here comes Vesper on the inside. the other Nyack boat in lane 5, and also Mendota challenging for that silver. But with 10 strokes to go, it's all Nyack. And in lane 3, the New York Athletic Club. They will be your winners. The gold medal in this intermediate Cox 4. Nyack B in lane 5 will take the silver, and Mendota will slide into third for the bronze. Great racing by all these boats here in this final of the men's intermediate Cox 4. And next up, we will have the women's intermediate lightweight quad final.
And that race is underway, the women's intermediate lightweight quad final. With a shot right now, I believe, of the Waylon Weston crew out of lane 4. And now just peeking in on the left side of the screen, the Newport Sea-Base composite of bow seat Kyra Vanderweel, 2-seat Tatum Wilhelm, 3 Audrey Lyda, and 4 Brenna Morley. Little bit of steering trouble out of the Waylon Weston crew. Looks like they may have even crossed buoy lines, so they'll come back into their lane as they're already doing now. So again, the camera now right on lane 4. A little bit of steering
Looks
trouble.
like we got a steering
Hopefully
issue in
not a
that Waylon
clash.
Weston crew. They've
Shoot.
crossed over.
No.
It doesn't look like we have a collision yet, but they are definitely out into the wrong lane.
Hey,
oh,
yikes.
boy. And we also have a armada of geese crossing the course. Hopefully those boats can get down there and take care of them as well. And, it looks like we have had a crab in one of those quads, too. It looks like perhaps that Waylon Weston quad. Very unfortunate in that lane 5 area. Hopefully both those crews can get back on course real quick and get back into this race. Still a little bit of time as we're only about 1,000 meters in. But hopefully we can have a nice reset and everybody can get back into their race. Unfortunately, sometimes this does happen. You can have mechanical issues. You can have a steering issue. Sometimes the boats just don't want to steer. And unfortunately, that's a bit of what we saw there with those two crews. As we go overhead, you can see here now the field starting to separate as we roll through with about 750 meters to go.
More geese. Seem to be cooperating, though.
They know they've learned to get out of the way, or else. But right now it looks like lane 1, your crew out of Vesper, very impressive. They are dominating this race with an open water lead as we roll into the final 700 meters. Behind them, it's lane 2, GMS, followed by Newport Sea-Base Composite in lane 3.
And Vesper really doing a nice job out of lane 1. They've got a lot of water here between GMS and Newport Sea-Base Composite out of lanes 2 and 3. So Vesper got out pretty quick. Seemed to have had no steering trouble, doing a nice job over in lane 1 of steering the boat. And we'll shoot back for a moment, it looks like, to the Waylon Weston crew.
Still having a little bit of steering issues. Hopefully that can also become very stressful in the boat, just when the boat's not steering the way you would like it to, and obviously you're under a lot of physical pressure with the racing. it can get very stressful and get tight. So good for these athletes to just stay calm and to keep driving on. That's the important part. It can get very difficult, and overcorrecting it. It takes a lot of time and experience to really figure out how to get those boats to really plane out the way you want. So hopefully they can recover and get that going there. Oh, looks like another little crab there, unfortunately for them.
And also, too, I mean, these boats, these quads move pretty fast. So, one small steering problem can become a big problem fast. Now, it looks like the Wayland Weston crew has actually stopped. Could be technical failure in their boat. I'm not quite sure. But good on them. They've now picked it back up. So, regardless of the finish placement, good for them to make sure that their bow crosses the line if they can make that happen. It's a lot of pressure on the bow seat who's steering this boat. It's no easy task.
All right, but as we come into the last 250, it's Vesper Boat Club on the inside in lane 1 here. They are dominating this final. As it stands, they will take the gold medal in this women's intermediate lightweight quad. But behind them, man, is it heating up. We have GMS. We have Newport Sea-Based Composite. It's going to be a dogfight all the way to the line for who wants to see that silver medal. Right now, I'd say it's GMS with Miss Gabriela Welp in 3-seat. She was the only lightweight to make the women's open single final at the Youth National Championship. Now rowing at GMS this summer, powering that boat to, it looks like, a silver medal ahead of the Newport Sea-Based boat, but we'll have to see what the last 10 strokes hold. As Vesper comes through, they are your winners. They will take the gold medal in this event, and with 5 strokes to the line, it looks like it will be GMS. GMS will take the silver, followed by Newport Sea-Based. They will round off your top 3 with the bronze. Great racing there. Great racing in that final of the women's intermediate lightweight quad. And now here on the outside in lane 6, we have Undine coming down the course. And then also hats off to Row America Rye and our Wayland Weston crew. Both those crews with a little bit of a little steering issue that caused some collision, but a great recovery, and they're finishing the race with a lot of pride, so that's good for them. And bam, we're back up to the top. Men's intermediate lightweight double final. Hold on to your hats, folks. This is going to be a hot one. Lane 1, we have Mr. Hannon, Mr. Ward. Lane 2, Mr. Park, Mr. Gallagher. Lane 3, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Tuckerman. Lane 4, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Loy. Lane 5, Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Hanley. And lane 6, Mr. Lindsay and Mr. Cole.
And Kyle, we saw Ben Hopkins out of the Orion crew not too long ago racing in the men's intermediate lightweight single. We saw him handle those false starts very well.
We saw him race a few times this morning.
We saw him race a few times. It's great to see him back in the lightweight double. Good on him for racing multiple times in a day. Multiple finals, so good on him for getting here.
Yeah, you gotta make your way there first. You got to punch that ticket, so good for those guys all getting a lot of great racing opportunities here. And it looks like we're coming up on just about 400 or 500 meters in, and a nice strong start from that crew from Orion. And as we go to the overhead drone, wow, what a tight field as we come up on 500 meters. Very nice racing in this men's intermediate lightweight double final.
Super, super tightly packed. As we've said all along this morning, these lightweight events really can be. So lightweight events, some of my favorite events to watch, and this men's intermediate lightweight final is certainly not disappointing right now. Lanes 1, 2, 3, 4, not to be left out, 5 and 6, but right now lane 3 leading, and that's the Vesper crew of Cooper Tuckerman and Christopher Fisher. I'd say Vesper now starting to push out even just a little bit more. Orion keeping contact with Vesper. OKC as well, so we see kind of the center of the field starting to poke out just a bit. Vesper continues to lead, but Orion doing a nice job keeping their bow ball in it.
What a race here, really developing. What a great shot, too, from the drone overhead, tracking from the front of the field. Very exciting here as we roll through 1,000 meters. The field starting just to separate a little bit, but we'll see who still has some gas in the tank and some tricks up their sleeve as we come into the final half of the race.
And a nice shot of the Vesper crew in the bottom right-hand side of the screen.
A great shot just shows all the length and the power of these doubles really humming along, and just how in sync you really have to be with the hands and the bodies and the slides and the blades just to really move this boat effectively. Just a really beautiful overhead shot that really illustrates this quite well. Great speed out of this Vesper boat. Looks like they're holding about a half a length lead. But behind them, man, what a lot of charging boats they have to hold off here as we come up on about 750 meters to go in this final of the men's intermediate lightweight double. Really charging strong. We have in the boat from Orion, Mr. Hopkins, Mr. Loy, they've brought it up just a touch. They're holding that Vesper move. And on the other side, Row West Racing Camp, they want to be part of the party. On the outside, the Vesper crew in lane 6, they're coming up on their teammates as well. Everything's really starting to close.
Wow.
As we come into the final 600 meters.
Beautiful shot from the drone right now. Just incredible. It is Vesper right now. Orion really going after not just that silver position, but it looks like they're trying to go after that gold and really test Vesper here. A bit of overlap as far as I can see.
Wow, what a great race here developing as all the crews just coming up here on that final large orange buoy indicating 500 meters to go. It looks like it's still Vesper. Margins have held pretty strong for the last 750 meters or so. We'll have to see if anyone has one more gear as we enter that last quarter of the race.
And Vesper continuing to hold. Definite challenge from the Orion shell. About a half a length or so in between them, and I would even say Orion is starting to really push. This is so exciting. Look at the Vesper and Orion shot right here from the drone.
Wow.
A nice push from Orion over the last 300 meters. It is Vesper though, but it is getting really, really tight for gold.
I think Orion has put in the move, and they may have the lead right now. And then the other Vesper boat in lane 6, they're sneaking up on the outside. A lot of action here for all the medals. Everything counts in these last 40 strokes here. We'll have to take a look at the line and see exactly what goes down.
If you're not on the shore, that's where you want to be for the men's intermediate lightweight double final. With Vesper and Orion right now chasing after the gold.
Wow, what a race. 20 strokes to go. Who wants it? It looks like Orion has snuck out on the outside. I'd say they're just a little bit up on that Vesper crew. We'll see if they can respond. In the last 100 meters here, it looks like Orion.
What an incredible push from Orion in the last 500 meters or so.
But here comes Row West. It looks like they've crossed over lanes as well. They're right behind the Vesper crew, but it's all Orion. A very impressive sprint. They will win the gold in this event by open water, followed by Vesper. And the race for the bronze is very tight, very tight. I'm going to give it to lane 2, your crew from OKC. What an outstanding race, a great sprint. Great racing all around there. Wow, very impressive. Folks, perfect weather here for racing. Nice, refreshing temperature, a light
cold.
tailwind,
A little cold.
cloudy, so we don't have to worry too much about the sun and the glare. You still want to make sure you have your sunscreen on. Those rays can penetrate the clouds, so head on down to the USRowing tent, get your free sunscreen, protect yourself. And we'll take you back to the top. We have the women's intermediate lightweight Cox 4 final coming right up here. It looks like we have alignment, and we'll have a start any second now as they're just tapping the boat straight. And here we go. Eyes now are on the Vesper crew in lane 4. Lane 1 will have Lincoln Park. Lane 2, PNRA Mercer. Lane 3, Row West Racing Camp. Lane 4, the Vesper crew on your screen now as we have a start. Lane 5, we have Ready, Set, Row. And lane 6, TBC Rowing.
Good, thanks. And again, right now, the camera view up at the start of the 10:24 a.m. race. It's the women's intermediate lightweight 4 final. A nice shot of the Vesper crew. And again, this is now a coxed event, so steering issues should be minimal. And right now, a really nice shot of that Vesper crew coming through their first 500 meters. On the left-hand side of the screen, starting to pick up Row West Racing Camp. That's coxswain Geraldine Zhang, bow seat Erin Catherine Welch, 2-seat Adriana, 3-seat Lydia Longaway, and 4-seat Bethany Newcomb. And those two crews looking pretty close at the moment. We'll have a better shot in just a moment with the drone as we start to pick up this race. So lane 1, if you're looking at the screen, lane 1 is on the far right side, all the way to lane 6, who's on the left side of your screen, which means that it looks like lane 3 is one of our early leaders. That's Row West Racing Camp. And lane 2 sticking right with them, that's PNRA Mercer. And lane 1, not to be left out, that's Lincoln Park out of Chicago. So lanes 1, 2, and 3 as we come through the first half of this race. Leading crew, though, right now, Row West Racing Camp out of lane 3.
Wow, a big cheer out of that crew when they heard that.
Woo-hoo.
Great racing from them.
And they are leading now pretty in a pretty solid position. I'd say a good half a length over lane 2. PNRA Mercer and Vesper doing a nice job as well, really keeping their bow ball in it. And I'd say right next to them, the Ready, Set, Row boat in lane 5, sticking in it too. This is a tightly packed race.
Wow, what a view there from the drone. You can see just how tight this racing is. A lot of power going down here. A lot of these lightweight women rowing a Cox 4, one of the heavier boats from some of the lightest boat class. A lot of toughness and grit and strength for these women to drive these boats down the course.
And making the best of it, it's still Row West Racing Camp in lane 3, maybe even taking a seat or two over the last 30 strokes. Now just shy of breaking into open water from the two crews right on the outside of them. That's PNRA Mercer and Vesper.
That PNRA Mercer crew, of course, training at Mercer Lake, home of the women's national team and many of our trials events. They're trying to get into this. They want to join the party, but it's still a dominating performance in the middle from Row West Racing Camp. They are your leaders.
And margin staying pretty consistent now. With Row West Racing Camp continuing to lead, looks like they've stayed pretty consistent over the last 20, 30 strokes or so, which means it's Row West Racing Camp in a position for the gold, and it's your pick for silver. I'd give slight advantage to Vesper at the moment, who's in lane 4. So if you're looking at the screen there, to the right of the leading boat, to the left of the leading boat is that Mercer crew. But really such a tight race for silver right now, and starting to run out of water, but there's still time for an upset. Row West Racing Camp, though, looking pretty strong. They got out early and they held. We'll see what they can do in the last 300.
Very exciting here. 4 boats, 3 medals. You know how it goes. So we'll have to see if they can wind it up and make something happen. But so far, the margins are holding as we cross that 500-meter mark.
And a little bit of an answer from the Vesper shell. Maybe sitting about 2 seats up on the Mercer crew, but it's looking like those are our 3 in contention for the medal stand. Here they come, about 250 meters away. Row West Racing Camp for the women's intermediate lightweight Coxed 4 in a position for the gold. And we can hear their teammates on the water urging them on now in the last 200. That West chant.
Wow, it's going to be tight. But it looks like Row West, your leader. But coming up strong, we have Mercer, we have Vesper. Very tight for the medals here. Very, very tight racing. Still Row West. They're your leader. Here comes Mercer.
Vesper throwing everything they have at it.
Mercer Cox is sitting straight up. What's she doing?
It's Row West, but Vesper is challenging. Half a length
Wow, here we
advantage
go.
or so to Row West, maybe 3/4 of a length advantage. Wow, what a final.
Wow. I'm going to say it was Row West, then Vesper, and then Mercer. Row West for your gold, Vesper your silver, and PNRA Mercer will round off 3rd place for your bronze medal.
And a nice shot up at the start of the men's intermediate lightweight pair. Another set of brothers out of Riverside. Peter Rex and Liam Rex. I don't know, Kyle, you think they're twins?
I just want to know where is T-Rex? Hopefully none of them are rowing like one.
Oh man, he's in the single. He couldn't conform to row in the pair.
Rowing legs only. And we're off.
Nice start from the Rex brothers out of Riverside Boat Club in Cambridge, Mass. So if you want to find a pair partner that's your size and that's going to match up, twin would be the right pick. I don't know if they're brothers or twins, but they're doing a nice job off the line right now.
All right. And as we get into the first part of this intermediate lightweight men's pair, just a little bit of steering as the wind is just a little swirly up there. It is starting to, it has gotten cloudy again here at the course. It does look like there are a little bit of storms in the area, so if you have an umbrella or a rain jacket, you might want to grab it real quick so it's not a mad dash. Doesn't look like it's going to be anything too bad. Maybe a quick drizzle or something if it comes through. Hopefully we avoid most of it and it doesn't affect any of the racing.
It's nothing like being at the start line, though, of a final, and then the skies open up and sheets of rain start pouring down.
Yeah, it's not a fun place to be, but safety first, as always.
It adds a little bit of drama. As long as your hands aren't too wet and you're not in a single or something like that, your hands could slip.
Absolutely. You don't want to go swimming in a thunderstorm.
No. And starting to open up now the shot, so we see Riverside right in front of us. To the left, we see the bright yellow and maroon of the Minnesota Dev Camp. And to the right of the Riverside shell, we have another Riverside shell. That's Thomas Cummins and Arthur Benson, rowing out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. As we said earlier, a super fun summer boathouse to be a part of. And we should switch to the drone here in just a moment, get a sense of margins. And on the far side, in lane 1, it's Vesper. Lane 2, Minnesota Dev Camp. Lane 3, Minnesota Dev Camp. Lane 4, Riverside, who we saw up at the start. Then lane 5, the other Riverside pair. And lane 6, Nyack. So some great club teams throwing down in this event right now, making the best of it. Lane 3, I would say, which is one of the Minnesota Dev Camp boats. That's Alexander Martin and Connor Lund. But both Minnesota boats right down, doing a really nice job. So lane 3, about a half a length up on lane 2, Minnesota Dev Camp. That's Kieran Piers and Sean Tardrew, with Riverside running behind them.
Brady. Come on up, we'll interview you. Come on up, we'll give you an interview. Yeah.
And leading the pack, it's Minnesota in lane 2. Kieran Piers, Sean Tardrew. Think they've gotten maybe about a half a seat or so.
It's really heating up right now, though.
Yeah.
Looks like that race for the bronze medal, as we come into about, 750 meters to go, could get pretty exciting here. As we watch those buoy lines, just a little bit of steering still going on. Right after this race, we'll ask you a few questions. How you doing?
Good, yeah, how are you?
Good. How was the race?
We were really happy to make the final for the Light 4, but it was kind of rough. Those guys are really fast.
Yeah.
We had a 15-year-old in our boat, but Julian using 2-seat.
And coming in now with about 600 or so meters to go, actually just through the 500.
Yeah, I just talked to the Georgetown Mites coach. I'm going to head over there.
Oh, yeah, Saxa.
Yeah. So.
I saw his name, Dope Brodowski.
And a nice shot right now of those two Minnesota boats and the Riverside shell.
He posted so many things about it.
We saw the lane 2 Minnesota Dev Camp boat leading for a good part of this race. We'll get a sense of margins as the camera switches over. But it looks like lane 2 still getting work done. Kieran Piers and Sean Tardrew.
All right, 500 to go.
And lane 2 continuing to lead. Although it looks like we've maybe got a little bit of a Minnesota Dev Camp battle going on. Still giving the advantage, though, to the lane 2 Minnesota shell. As these guys now approach 250 to go in the men's intermediate lightweight pair. Race for medals in this final event.
It looks like that lane 2 Minnesota crew really pouring it on right now. They're trying to get into this gold medal position. But it's all the lane 3 Minnesota crew. It looks like they're your leaders still. Lane 4, Riverside, still coming up. Lane 6, New York Athletic Club, not out of it, but they're going to have to go crazy if they want to get on the medal stand. But it's all Minnesota. It's just a matter of which one it's going to be to get to the line first.
Wow.
Not just the medal, a lot of pride and bragging rights on the line here. Minnesota A, Minnesota B. 10 strokes to the line. It looks like the Minnesota crew of Mr. Lund and Mr. Martin in lane 3. They are your leaders. They will take this gold medal. Lane 2, your other crew from Minnesota, they will take the silver. And lane 4, Riverside, they will round off the top 3 and take the bronze. And a nice little pump of the water there from the gold medal winners. Always love to see a nice celebration. Folks, it's critical in these races that you save just enough energy at the finish line to have an awesome celebration. We are filming this, so it's great to see. We want to see it. There's no fines. This isn't the NFL. There's no fines. There's no penalty for a celebration.
Oh, man.
If you win and it's appropriate, let's see it. All right? So great race there. And in progress, we have the women's lightweight single final. Here you're looking at Miss Kay from Potomac. And folks, we have another treat here. We have Mr. Brady Sturgeon from PNRA Mercer here. Just talk a little bit about the racing today. So Brady, you raced in a few events this week, right? Just talk us about the different events that you did and how it went.
So I started out in the U19 Cox 4. Man, a lot of competition there, a lot of entries, a lot of fast crews, really, really tough competition there. You got to pull really hard in the time trial just to make it to the semis to fight, to make the final. And then in the 8 too as well, all those 4s combined and make it one powerful 8 and just so competitive. A bunch of fast youth crews here. It's really great competition all around.
So talk us through that race this morning. You guys were in the lightweight 4, racing up a category. What's it like to be able to come to a regatta like this and race up against guys who are in college and other competition versus
it feels great
your typical
to
Scholastic?
have a high school crew come up and race these college guys that have so much more experience, strength, boat moving ability, and it feels great just to be in their presence, to compete with them. It felt amazing to get through that time trial and make it to the final. It's a great feeling, great competition.
And what about the rest of the summer? You got any more races you guys are thinking of going to, or your training schedule?
We just have the Philadelphia Youth Regatta coming up, so that should be a fun way to finish out the summer. And then after that, just some small boats training, get some ergs in before the fall season comes around, and but good stuff.
What's your favorite thing about coming to the Club Nationals?
The competition. I mean, everybody's here. Everyone comes from all their schools, all their clubs, and they kind of come together to form these stacked boats, and just creates so much great competition. And it's such a big regatta, and it's really awesome to see.
That's great. And did you check out the college fair?
I'm about to head over there right now.
All right, that's great. Folks, make sure you check out that college fair, too. We got a lot of great colleges and coaches here, and then obviously a lot of great athletes as well. So a great networking opportunity for all. So thanks, Brady. Good luck with the rest of your summer and the season, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
My man.
And well underway now with the drone shot is the women's intermediate lightweight single final. So on the right side of the screen, it's lane 1, then all the way to lane 6 on the left side of your screen, which means lane 3 is leading, lane 4 running in second. So lane 3, Riona McCormick from SoCal Scullers right now is your leader. Kristen Kay of Potomac running right with her. And lane 2, Cameron Taranis of Detroit sticking with the pack as well.
SoCal Scullers, what a great group down there in California, obviously. Just a group of scullers really throwing down a lot of great stuff coming out of that group. Also, what an impressive trailer they had. I was walking around the trailer staging area earlier. They've got a fifth-wheel trailer, man. You looked like it was a horse trailer. That thing was built out of unbelievable quality American steel. Just a fantastic apparatus to move your boats around. So what a great club, and now they've got some great racing going on.
Got it all.
Just a great setup down there if you're in Southern California.
I'm not totally just Orion biased, I promise. They have to win. And Rihanna McCormick still leading the pack out of lane 3, SoCal Scullers.
Very impressive race from her. In control. As we look across to lane 4, Miss Kay from Potomac, she's in this. Lane 2, Miss Taranis from Detroit, a great American city, home of the American automobile. Fighting along here as we come into the final 800 meters of this race, fighting for the medals.
Yeah, there's a race happening for the gold medal, certainly in the front of the pack between lane 3 and lane 4, SoCal and Potomac, but also a race for bronze happening just behind them. So that's Cameron Taranis from Detroit and Ella McGill out of Newport Sea Base.
Wow, what a great overhead view from the drone here, too.
And about 1 length separates Rihanna McCormick out of SoCal over lane 4, Kristen Kay from Potomac. The Scullers now just shy of 500 to go. I'd say even maybe Potomac, Kristen Kay making a little bit of a push here. Definite overlap. And Rihanna McCormick maybe with a bit of an answer. So really they're just trading inches here. But Rihanna McCormick of SoCal Scullers continues to take the lead with 500 to go.
A little bit of wind picking up, just a slight crosswind adding into this tail, so a little bit of a quartering tail here, getting a little swirly. As we come into the final 500 meters of this race.
Thanks.
But it's still all McCormick from SoCal Scullers. Thundering away in lane 3. If you hear any noise, it's the oars, it's the power, it's not the sky. As we come into about 350 meters to go. McCormick still thundering along. Hot on her heels still. Lane 2, Miss Taranis from Detroit. Lane 4, Miss Kay from Potomac.
I have ESP in addition to being a proficient thrower. Miss Welp is on her way over.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Top shooter.
And this is shaping up to be a very exciting last 250 meters in the women's intermediate lightweight single final. We've seen Rihanna McCormick out of SoCal Scullers lead most of this race. She continues to lead right now in the last 150 meters or so. Chasing after that gold medal, Kristen Kay out of Potomac in hot pursuit, but right now in that silver medal position, it's Rihanna McCormick, SoCal Scullers, in a position for the gold in the women's intermediate lightweight single final. Out of lane 3, running in the silver position, it's Kristen Kay from Potomac. And it's pretty tight for bronze right now. There's 1 medal left. Rihanna McCormick takes the gold, Kristen Kay for the silver. Who do you think for the bronze?
And here we go for that bronze medal, that last spot. Right now it looks like lane 2, Miss Taranis from Detroit. Detroit Diesel Power across the line, and she will take the bronze. What a great race.
And coming through the line now, lane 1, Helen Eisenach out of Vesper through the line. That was the women's intermediate lightweight single. But right now we've got some guys here from, guys, tell us what event you rode in this morning and you won.
We were in the men's intermediate lightweight double.
Hi, Alex Loy and Ben Hopkins from Orion, intermediate light double.
So guys, how did the race go this morning?
It was pretty patient, I guess I would say. It was a lot higher rate than I'm normally more comfortable with, but it still felt pretty patient through the 1500.
Definitely a powerful piece, hot off the line, and all the boats settled high and hard. We knew this was going to be an interesting race because most of the guys had raced at least once before the double, so a lot of nerves at the start. We rode a pretty strong and calm middle of the piece and ramped it up at the end. It's probably our third 2K together, maybe fifth row in the boat, so pretty happy.
Yeah.
So a new crew, a lot of racing going on, a lot of nerves, you said at the start, and a little higher pacing than you expected. What did you do that helped you kind of stay cool and collected and focus on your racing to execute the way you wanted to today?
Well, I often have a tendency to kind of save a little bit towards the end, which my doubles partner isn't really a big fan of. But it definitely was very patient. We were I was just waiting for that 500. Once that 500 came, I was ready. I was gonna haul on it all the way in.
There were two ways this race was going to go for us. One was Ben recovered from his single really well, and we just nailed it off the line and kept the lead. And what I suspected would happen, and did happen, was we ended up a little bit down and just hung on because Ben does have that huge finish, and I knew if we could just stay close, he would get us across the line.
That's great. So you guys, even though you haven't rode a ton together, you understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. So that's good. That's key.
Yeah, I think we did the best with what we had there.
That's awesome. So what about the rest of the week? How's the race been going? What's your experience? Are you enjoying the regatta? Are you having fun?
This regatta's been a blast. I love the condensed schedule for the older events. I think it makes the trip more affordable for one thing, and I think opens up more doors. You don't get to race as much overall, but put more focus into few events, and I think it's a better indicator of skill. Our team on the whole has done a phenomenal job. We've had most people that came with us make A finals so far. Out of those people, most have got medals today, and it's just a tremendous amount of energy, young crew, really great coaches, and been a tremendous success so far.
That's great too. So tell us a little bit about training at Orion, and it seems like you guys have had a lot of successful crews, like you said, come through today. I feel like we've interviewed 3 or 4 Orion winners so far. What's it like being up in Saratoga, rowing up there on the Fish Creek, and in that high-performance setting?
Yeah, absolutely. I just graduated high school, so this was kind of my first step into a really intense program, and I've absolutely just been loving it. It's a big step up from what I rode in high school, and that's felt pretty great.
Okay, so you just graduated. Where are you heading this fall?
I'll be headed off to Cornell to row lights there.
Oh, you're sticking in New York, huh?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Good for you. Very good. With that'll be a fun time up in Cornell.
Yeah.
So, what's the plans for the rest of the summer, guys?
We've got some stuff in the works, under wraps for now, but we'll be doing some more racing.
Under wraps, so we got some top secret plans for some racing. I love it. Well, hey guys, congratulations again. Make sure you enjoy the rest of your regatta. Good luck on the rest of your racing and the rest of your summer. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Fun stuff.
Law school, huh? Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the bar next week.
All right. Oh, really? Talk to that guy down there.
Careful,
Jason.
Please be careful. Don't fall off the
Taking
ledge
the bar
and end
next
your
week with
season.
Mary.
I'm scared.
Thanks. You gonna come do an interview? All right, and just like that, we're coming into the last 500 of the men's intermediate single final.
In lane 1, it's Undine. Lane 2, Unaffiliated. Lane 3, Pittsburgh, another great American city.
The Steel City.
Lane 4, Maritime. Lane 5, Penn AC. And lane 6, Foundry.
You know, you think of Pittsburgh and the Steel City, they really built this country.
They did.
You think about it.
I think that every day. I wake up and I think Pittsburgh.
The steel I-beams that this country is built on.
And
you think of
this
Pittsburgh.
finish tower, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, this finish tower is steel ironworks. Thanks to the great city of Pittsburgh.
Oh, man.
And here we go. It looks like lane 4, Mr. Leganowski from Maritime, really pouring it on here in the last 250 meters. Behind him, I'd say it's lane 2, it's lane 3. Mr. Lechner, unaffiliated, Mr. Petronic from Pittsburgh, fighting it out for that silver and bronze medal. But here comes Mr. Treblecock from Foundry on the outside, lane 6, trying to sneak onto that medal stand. But still, it's all Maritime. Mr. Leganowski, very impressive, stretching it out in the last 10 to 15 strokes here. He will be our gold medal winner here in the men's intermediate single. But behind him, we'll have to see.
What a feeling to win it by that much. Look at the margin.
Very impressive, especially in such a strong tailwind that usually compresses the margins. But for that silver medal position, it looks like Mr. Petronic from the Steel City will hold on, and he will take that silver medal just over lane 2. Mr. Lechner rowing unaffiliated. And in lane 6, Mr. Treblecock from Foundry, a close 4th. Again, what an impressive victory, especially typically calling it in a strong tailwind like this. You see it short, it makes a faster race, shorter margins. So to be able to put up that sort of a spacing on the crews behind you when they're having a great race and rowing well themselves, very impressive.
Absolutely.
So a very impressive victory for Mr. Leganowski. Congratulations to him.
Let's try to get him up in the finish tower. If anybody knows him, send him straight to us.
Send him up here. We'd love to speak to him. Anybody who's got a medal, or even if you don't have a medal, we'd love to talk to you up here, talk about the regatta, your experience, get you on the air, a little shout out for you, your team. You know, we're very friendly up here. We're literally on top of a trailer at the finish line. Stop on by, say hello. We have snacks.
We do have snacks.
And we have smiles. All right, and we're back up top here for the women's intermediate pair final. Left to right on your screen. Lane 1, the under-18 girls high performance team. Lane 2, the under-19 women's selection camp. Lane 3, our Greenwich composite. Lane 4 is the under-19 women's selection camp. Lane 5, the under-18 girls high performance team. And rounding off in lane 6 on the far side is the OKC High Performance Center. And it looks like we have just started to get a little bit of rain here at the course. So well, hopefully it stays light and it's quick and we can continue the racing. But as you can see on the screen, there's just a little bit of light rain at the top of the course. You know, actually, I don't mind rowing in the rain. It's actually kind of refreshing usually. Typically, you find it cool. It calms the water down.
Especially in the summertime. I mean, I think when it's raining and it's April, that's a lot less fun. I was actually just thinking a little bit about the year it snowed at the head of the Charles in 2009.
That was outstanding.
Were you rowing in that?
I was, and I have to say that I have no regrets about that. That was an outstanding regatta. And we have a start here as we are looking at the Greenwich crew in lane 3 here. A nice clean start from them.
And Greenwich, of course, as we've been saying for the past few days, just such a great program. A lot of talent coming out of Greenwich, and you can really see it right now in the pair. A very clean start from this crew. A lot of power coming out of the shell, really getting nice run in between each stroke. So the camera right now on that Greenwich boat. And maybe a little bit of steering trouble. But it looks like they've recovered. So a couple of U19 entries in this women's intermediate pair final. So in lane 2, it's the women's selection camp of Julia Braz and Kelsey McGinley. And then in lane 4, another U19 women's selection camp boat. That's Margaret Hedeman and Catherine Garrett. Just next to them in lane 5, some more strong youth. It's the U18 high performance group. Issa Plowman in the bow, Kaylee Richards in the 2 seat. It's like a personal thing. I'm like, I have to be able to say these names, and then I just go for it, and then halfway through I decide if I can do it or not.
I'm sitting here going, I wonder if she's going to try that last.
Which so I skipped that because I thought there was a letter missing at the end. I was like, oh, there's a letter missing.
All right, and as you can see on the camera, just a little bit of light drizzle here at the course. Really nothing to be, nothing to affect the racing. Just a light spritz here and there. And as we come through about 700 meters into this race,
So the rain adding a little bit of drama to their final in the women's intermediate pair. But as you rightly say, nothing these crews can't handle. Now already getting close.
and it looks like the middle of the pack starting to separate just a touch. That's your Greenwich Composite, your under 19 women's selection camp. This is also a 7-boat final, folks. There was a crew yesterday that was excluded due to being late to the line following our goose incident yesterday. They did appeal successfully. They were able to race today on the condition that they do a full 2,000-meter race this morning at 6:45, and they actually did race again after that. So this will be their third race of the day, but to make sure it was everything was fair for everybody, the officials judged that if they completed an extra 2,000-meter race that they were on square with everybody else, they could be added to this final as a 7th boat. So again, another great example of how the officiating and judge referee crew was able to work together with the athletes in a situation that happened, and everyone was able to come together, discuss what happened, and come to an agreeable solution that allows the athletes to participate and all the rules to still be followed. So great stuff overall. And it looks like lane 0, that crew that was added, they're having a nice race. Also lanes 2, lanes 3, really starting to poke their nose out in front.
And
as we take a look
down to the shore.
And here comes our U18 high performance team down to the bleacher area. A large contingent to cheer on their teammates. And as we approach the final 750 meters, it still looks like lane 3 starting to separate. And oh, we have another goose incident. It looks like lane 0 nailed a goose. Hopefully it was a good hit. A knockout punch.
Oh man, those geese.
Having just a little bit of difficulty with the drone, folks, obviously, with a little bit of just very, very light rain coming through. Just bringing the drone back into base real quick to make just for its safety. And we'll have it back out there as soon as we can for you. We've got a great view from the finish line here as all the crews coming up now on just about 500 meters to go. Looks like lane 3, lane 4, they're coming on here. Lane 0, they're still in it, but a little bit of steering. It looks like they're headed right at us. We might have to jump out of this finish tower if they keep powering away the way they are. But lane 3, lane 4, they're pouring it on here. That's your under 19 women's selection camp. That's your Greenwich Composite. But a great race overall. A lot of great racing going on here. And here we go as we come into the final 250 meters.
That Greenwich crew coached by legendary junior coach Liz Tron.
Oh, yeah.
So here we have the Greenwich crew coached by legendary junior coach Liz Trond. They're pouring it on. They want to win this race.
And look at him charging in the last 200. A nice lift in the stroke rate, and they are well on their way, Kyle.
Stroke sheet, great. They're headed towards Pensacola.
That's right.
Yeah, but they got to go left. They're headed towards Berlin, New Jersey.
And here we go, lane 3.
Where's the safety moment?
The Greenwich Composite, they're pouring it on. They will take the gold medal in this grand final. Behind them, the battle for third.
Good swing in the stroke sheet. Look at that swing.
Yeah.
Lane 4, the U19 women's selection camp. Lane 2, the other selection camp boat. Who's going to take it? It looks like lane 4 over lane 2. And here comes lane 7. Back on course. They will take the 4th spot.
They would have gotten the medal if they'd gone straight.
And just a little bit of light rain here, just a little drizzle picking up here at the course. Nothing significant. Just a little mist here.
Yeah, you really primed us for this, Kyle. The light rain that was coming, we might see it.
You know, it's an outdoor sport. It's part of the experience.
Actually helps keep the dust down.
Yeah, and it's great, actually true. It does keep the dust down here at the course.
All right.
And just a light mist can help cool off the rowers. It's actually very refreshing. I'm sure that everyone is actually enjoying this weather quite a bit. It's quite preferable to the scorching sun and heat.
And that was lane 1 to just come through the line.
Folks, too, if you are a little, you're not as waterproof as the average human, we do have a lot of tents and vendors down here towards the finish line. USRowing has a great tent set up. You can charge your phone. We have some chairs. We have some music. A lot of great people down here, a lot of vendors. So what a great setup down here at the finish line. Stop by, say hello.
Sure. I would love to take a break.
All right, and that's just, again, a little bit of very light rain, just a little drizzle picking up here at the course. We are going to take a quick break. Again, just a little slight rain delay. For those of you familiar with baseball, it'll be quick, hopefully passing shower, and we'll get right back to the action as soon as we can.